We're dealing with artificial intelligence, digital currency, the future of finance, all of that. This is what you should have been paying attention to. As a matter of fact, those sessions are still available online. So you are being distracted by Mark Carney, the son of light. You're distracted by him. But a lot was said about the digital dystopia that we're heading into and the future of finance and economics, if you will, the new world economic order. All of that properly laid out at Davos once again, as they are wont to do with attorney at law, immigration law, African diaspora, repatriation, tours and investment. She's a Pan-African and founder of Africa Homeland. Of course, no stranger to the Africa Forum. Rachel, my sister, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. I hope you're well too, and I hope Grenada and Jamaica is doing well.
Well, I am well, and I'm going to forgive you for saying Grenada just now. You're welcome. Thank you for bringing Grenada in the mix.
I have to bring Grenada into everything, you see.
I know. You did that smoothly.
Yeah, but particularly what I was thinking about, with the hurricane, because we did a lot of stuff over here for the hurricane, so I'm just hoping that everything's going much better now.
Yes, we are. There's still a whole lot to be done. Many still are homeless. Many still in shelters, many homeless still, and the work is intense, a whole lot to be done. But thank you so much, my sister, and thank you for the contribution that you have made, you and the team, out of the UK. Thank you so much for that, and I know it's ongoing, so bless you.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, so usually when we talk to you, of course, we're dealing with immigration issues, or we're dealing with Africa repatriation issues, and here we are now talking about Ghana, because there is a very special project that is underway that you are for the diaspora in Ghana. This is not the first time you're doing this, though. This is an ongoing situation, isn't it?
Yes. The first time, because when we spoke first about Ghana, I think I've been maybe once or twice. I've been there 8 times now in the past 3 years. And I've been doing more and more work with the diaspora, and the diaspora being UK, Caribbean and African Americans. And so we've been doing more and more work and setting up communities that the diaspora needs in order to repatriate to Ghana. Some people have just made the move, who've been on my tours, they've literally moved to Ghana, and some people just go to visit. So the communities that we're creating are for people who want to either move to Ghana, visit, maybe do rental accommodations there at the moment. So we've got one which is in the Cape Coast area that we're developing at the moment.
All right, and just to remind our listeners, over the years we've talked about land and access to land in Ghana, and how land was being made available to Africans in the diaspora to return home. So that those are the issues that we have been focusing on. And so the movement from then to now, tell us a little bit about that, because there were communities, I think, even outside of Cape Coast, where people from the diaspora, Africans from the diaspora, were buying land in areas and repatriating to Ghana. How has that been so far?
So what took me to Ghana was the Asebu Pan-African Village, and that was a 5,000-acre initiative by the Paramount Chief, Nana Amanzi Professor Okatechi. And he has welcomed hundreds of the diaspora into that community. And in fact, it is in the Cape Coast area as well. It's a very vibrant community. I mean, it's very Jamaican. Even when I go there, my patois comes out. And yes, my family is from Grenada, but my patois, I literally hear myself speaking in patois because there's such a strong Jamaican community there.
Yes.
And they're eating, oxtail, rice and peas, because there's a Jamaican man he came via America to Ghana from Jamaica. And he has set up a lovely, Mr. T, let me give him a shout out if that's okay. He set up a lovely Jamaican restaurant in Asebu, and we have oxtail, and he cooks speciality, so he'll tell people what's cooking, and rice and peas and pumpkin soup, and he actually changes it around. Because I said, how did you get these ingredients in Ghana? So he said he uses local ingredients, but he changes it to give that Jamaican flavour. So there's a very vibrant Jamaican community there now.
Yes. And now here we have another community that is being developed in the same general area, the Cape Coast area. Tell us about that.
Yes, so that is in the central region of Ghana, which is where Cape Coast is. So mostly you have Accra and Greater Accra, and there's people who want to have a more city life, and they will probably go towards Accra and Ibri, which is another nice mountainous community, lots of Jamaicans there as well. We go towards the central region and to Cape Coast, where we are forming I'm partnering with a Ghanaian company, and actually it's a Ghanaian company, but one of the directors is also, let's call him a Ghanaian Jamaican, because he's a Jamaican from Jamaica who moved to Ghana and now has Ghanaian citizenship.
Okay.
So he has partnered with a Ghanaian, and they have that company. So we're doing an overall partnership together, because we all understand the needs of the diaspora in setting up this community. So that one is near Cape Coast, and then there's another one in Mankasim, which is the Africa Town community as well. So the one that we're focusing on at the moment is in Cape Coast with I'll call him Ghanaian Jamaican, because he's got two nationalities. And that one, we are inviting people to come from March, and we're going to be launching that in March. And if people want to come over and visit, they can do. I next go to Ghana in March, so definitely we'll be launching that then.
Okay, so all right, so there's an open invitation for persons to either travel with you when you're going in March, but how can they tap into, at least get an idea of what's happening there now? How can they participate in this? And what about persons who want to repatriate? What are the opportunities for them?
Yes, so our website is africahomeland.com, and you can see the opportunity there. Typically, what people get offered, mostly across the communities now, is a residential plot. Ours is a fully structured plot. There's good infrastructure on the plot, where we'll have electricity, water, internet, and it'll be graded, and so it's ready for people to come and build on. So one of the things that we saw with the diaspora is they were buying land in Ghana and Africa generally, but they don't know then how to develop the land. So one of the things that we focus on is helping people to get a developed plot of land, not a bush, because a lot of the time people are being sold a bush and they don't quite know how to grade it, how to get it into a properly developed piece of land where they could build a home on there. And so we'll also be building in the area the access roads, so that people can access their property, because that's another problem that people had as well, is being able to access their property.
Let us talk about integration and whether these communities, and I know that there is a school of thought that there is the likelihood of these communities becoming isolationist after a while, and doesn't necessarily integrate into the wider Ghanaian community, as I know a lot of persons who repatriate would want to do. How are these different?
I think you're right. There's two schools of thought, I would say. Where we are developing, we have a target market of diasporans, Ghanaians and continental Africans. So importantly, we want everybody to be there in that community, so it's mixed. But what I would say, and what I picked up from going to Ghana, is some people feel that they don't need to mix with the local Ghanaian community, because there's this idea that we're returning home. So we're not obligated to necessarily mix. So you might see a lot of Jamaican people and they have their own community and they're quite comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because as far as they're concerned, we were taken from Africa against our will, and we will therefore come back on whatever terms we see fit.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean that, and I understand that in a way. It was quite strange when I first got there, but I understand it that our culture is as valid as anybody else's culture. So although we are, as Caribbean people, going back to Africa, yes, we can mix with Ghanaian people and other countries, whether it's Kenya, Uganda, or wherever. Yes, we can mix with people, but it doesn't mean that we have to dilute ourselves. And so that could sometimes be misunderstood as not integrating. But I don't think it's us not integrating. I think it's more that we're keeping our very rich, valid cultures as well. And we're going to have to come to some kind of understanding as we go into Africa more and more as to how those cultures are going to merge and integrate together.
Because this is indeed a return, and you're returning with what you would have lived in exile, if you will, in captivity. But also there's so much retention. The conflict, though, arises when you're actually on the continent of Africa, and just recognizing how much the African retention that we talk about in the West, that we're still, that bridge is still there, and there is a gap to close. And you're saying that over time, this is something that the diaspora is aware of, consciously aware of, and are doing.
Yes, they're consciously aware of it, and they're either consciously not bridging the gap or they're consciously bridging the gap, depending on which school of thought you come from. So some people think that we can just go back to Africa and set up our own community. Like I think in Ethiopia there's Shashamani, and they're not mixed with the Ethiopian community as far as I'm aware.
They're totally mixed. I've been there. They're totally mixed. As a matter of fact, there's a whole other thing happening now, because so much of the land has been reclaimed by the government, and they have given those lands to Ethiopians. So it is even more integrated now than before, and it's getting more and more so, to the detriment of the diaspora, though, because a lot have been driven off the land over time. So that's a whole other situation. But these. So what do you think about this thinking, though, Rachel? That's a challenge that we face.
Well, to go back to the Ethiopian situation you were saying, that's actually where it could end up in a way, where lands could be, if people separate themselves as a community, then lands can be taken away. Because it's considered to be taken away from, say, the Jamaicans who come back and given back to Ethiopians. Whereas if people just mixed anyway, there'd be nothing to take away and give back, because everybody's just mixed on the land. And so the way I see it, that's why I'm saying there's two kind of schools of thought, where you can come and say, no, we're going to be our own community here. And then, yes, there is that. Because it's not just the mixing, but it also creates sometimes animosity. It's not just taking the land back, there can be animosity as well. So in Ghana, for example, you've got Liberia village or Liberia town, where they know there's all Liberian people, so they came there from the war, for example. So, you know, it's a similar thing. But I think the diaspora, to be fair, are quite integrated in their own way. There's not anywhere in particular where you say, oh, that's where all the diaspora live. Maybe the Pan-African village, yes. But there's not anywhere where you're going to say there's just diaspora and no Ghanaians. So they are quite well integrated.
Point well taken. I needed to get that out there, because that is something that is in our faces. There's a conversation that's happened. We see the YouTube videos. There's discussions happening among people in the diaspora who have never been to Ghana, for example, that I think we just needed to clear that up. But there is a danger. I know that. I've been there many times. I know there's a danger. But one of the things that I've witnessed my own self is the integration. Diaspora people do integrate with Ghanaians.
It's important what you've said there as well, because it's very true that you see some of these YouTube videos saying Africans don't like us, don't go to Africa. But I think it's not true to say that anyway. But apart from that, Africa is our homeland. And who does or doesn't like us, we're entitled to go back there.
Yes, that point needs to be underscored. So once again, so this is brilliant that the difficulties and the challenges that individuals usually have, because we've witnessed this firsthand, we've talked about it many times in this space, you want to go back to Africa, you want to repatriate, and Ghana has been like the gateway for so many years, but that there's a whole other ecosystem when it comes to buying land. Understand that you can't even own land the way you own land, say in Jamaica. And then if you buy the land, what do you do? So Africa Homeland seems to be doing a whole, taking care of a big chunk of these challenges, which is to say, acquire the land. And then is the land now purchased through Africa, the Homeland?
Yes, so basically the Ghanaian company gets the land and we partner with the company. Mm-hmm. So the Ghanaian company gets the land and gets the title for the land. As I'm a partner for that, I do due diligence as well. I don't need to, but I have to, because obviously for my own benefit, before I promote anything to anybody, yes. I also do my own due diligence on that land. Mm-hmm. And then I'm happy to go off and promote the land. But when somebody comes and purchases land, they will also do their own due diligence as well, mm-hmm. just to make sure that they're satisfied the land is properly registered, mm-hmm. it's available, there's no relatives going to come from goodness knows where to claim the land at a later date. Mm-hmm. So it's important to do due diligence. Ghana has a program for the diaspora of citizenship. So there's a ceremony coming up soon in March, we're hoping, where they're offering citizenship to the diaspora. Mm-hmm. And some of your listeners may be interested in that. They can particularly go through the Ghana Caribbean Association. They're mm-hmm. gathering a list of people who may want citizenship. Yeah. So if you get your citizenship in Ghana, which a couple of years ago, they gave 524 people citizenship by virtue of being black people and members of the diaspora.
We did cover that.
So if you get your citizenship... Yes. Oh, yes, you did. Yeah, I saw that. Yes. So if you get your citizenship, then your land ownership becomes much more easier. Mm-hmm. And they say that you're entitled at least to 90 years lease, a 90-year lease. If you're not a citizen, then it will be a 50-year lease, and these leases are renewable. Mm-hmm. And you need to make sure in the indenture, in the lease document, that it says that this is going to be renewable, because obviously none of us, by God's grace, will be here in 50 years' time. Mm-hmm. So it just has to say in there that it is a renewable lease. Mm-hmm. So when the 50 years is up, it can be renewed. Mm-hmm. By that stage, some people may have already become citizens, and then they can get that converted into a 90-year lease as well. Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to have at 7 o'clock His Excellency King Kwesi Dakwa, who is now in Jamaica, Ghana's presidential special envoy to the Caribbean region, and he is here strengthening diplomatic ties between Ghana and the Caribbean nations. Also the Ghana Foreign Affairs Minister on the island. And I'll raise these questions of citizenship, especially because this is one of the reasons why they're here, talking about trade and so on. So I'll pick up on this from you. All right, what do we do now? First of all, we can go to the website to look at the developments that are available. What else?
Yes, so with your two guests, I think your listeners would love it if we could get a date, because everybody's sort of waiting at what date they need to get to Ghana. Yes. So hopefully they'll be able to enlighten us over a date if there's going to be another citizenship ceremony. Mm-hmm. What people can do in terms of us, if they want to keep in touch, then you can go to the website, which is africahomeland.com, and just send us, you go to the contact us section, really, say that you listened here, and what you're interested in doing, whether you want to repatriate to Africa, because we also have contacts in Uganda and other places, mm-hmm. Whether you want to do a tour, and particularly if you want to come and view the community that we're developing, people are more than welcome. And they don't have to just come at set times. We can also facilitate people whenever they're coming, because sometimes people just turn up in Ghana and then they contact me and say, I'm in Ghana, what can I do next? So it's always good to plan before you go. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you do happen to be in Ghana, then you can still reach out to us. Mm-hmm. And people get so excited and carried away. They want to get to the motherland. They just get on a plane and literally turn up in Africa and then start looking at what can they do. So, if you get stuck, I have had people do that. Mm-hmm. Then you can contact us as well. Yeah,
mm-hmm. This is really a bridge, and it's a vacuum that was obviously there, and it's great to see that this is being taken care of. I remember being in Ghana and literally had to drive miles and miles way up into the hills to go literally rescue, if you will, someone who had come in the way you said, thinking that, okay, I can come in, I can just get land because I'm back on the continent of Africa. But it doesn't work that way. Yes, the land is available in many cases, but there is a process. Yes, there is a process. And going to Africa, there's a process as well. Mm-hmm. We really encourage people to plan their trip before they go. Yeah. All right. So once again, the development, this particular one we're talking about right now, that lands are available now. This is in the Cape Coast area. What costs are we looking at in terms, and how far do you go? I know you prepare the land. Do you also build homes, houses? Yes, actually what we want to do is not just sell the land, it's the building of the home. That is what we're getting at. Mm-hmm. So the company with Kheru he's a builder from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. So actually the idea is to build a community, not just to sell people land. Okay. So the first thing people will do is they will acquire a plot, and the reservation fee is $5,000 with a down payment of $1,500 to say that I want to reserve my space, I want to confirm this. Mm-hmm. And then they'll have 6 months to pay the balance of the $5,000, so that we can give them a properly serviced plot of land. Mm-hmm. So they're not just paying for the land, they're paying for the service, the internet, the water there, the electricity, the grading, all that. And then we will work with them to build their home on the land. And what we're really trying to get is a sustainable development. And if you've gone to Ghana, so they have lots of trees there, they have, an environment that needs preserving. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the times when people are building communities, they just go and bulldoze all the trees down. Mm-hmm. So we want to see how we can do a sustainable development which respects the environment and also uses more sustainable materials. Mm-hmm. So we're particularly looking at interlocking bricks, compressed earth bricks, to do sustainable building and proper sewage system, drainage and all those things. So that's what the community is that we're building. Okay, sounds good. And contact again. All of this is done through the website. Once you go there, everything is there. Email addresses, contact numbers. Remind us of the website again. Finally, Rachel. It's africahomeland.com. All right. Thank you so much, my sister. And please keep in touch with us. Let us know how it's going. We're quite willing to do the updates. And one of the things that we're already getting here are questions, especially about cost. Here's a question. Is it $5,000 for everything? No, right? Right. So the $5,000, once you go on the website, you'll see it is specifically for, let me look and see. Right. The graded 80 by 100 plot transferred into your name, properly planned access roads, electricity connection, mainline water supply, drainage, waste management, internet access. There'll be an on-site warden and security, fast-track documentation, and also we'll be able to show you samples of architectural drawings so that you can choose the property. So the $5,000 covers all that, and the building of your house then is a separate thing. All right. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Rachel Okello. And you're an attorney at law. Just let us underscore that. So you are the right person. Yes, I'm a solicitor, 23 years in the UK. That's why I have to do my own due diligence, because if I say something to people, they say, a solicitor told us, So I have to be careful myself as well. All right. Thank you so much, my sister. Great work on the continent of Africa. Thank you. And we want a tour, Jamaica-Ghana tour. Definitely. Sorry, say that again? We definitely need a Jamaica to Ghana tour. A Jamaica we have to work on that. Oh yes. We are ready, and we're ready and willing. Okay, we'll definitely have to do that. 26 or 27, it has to happen. Let's do that. Okay. All right. Rachel Okello, attorney at law, immigration law, Africa, diaspora, repatriation, tours and investment. She's Pan-African. She's founder Africa Homeland. And remember, that's also the website that you go to for more information, it makes it easier. That much more easier, doesn't it? For those who want to acquire land or build a home or to repatriate to Ghana. Excellency Dakwa, are you online now?
Hello, Kheru. Thank you very much. I've been standing by to talk to you.
Yes, you've just brought all of Ghana to Jamaica. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful, your greeting just now. Thank you so much.
We are delighted to be in Jamaica because Jamaica is home for us in the same way as we believe Ghana is home for many of you. Let me start by saying the welcome that the Jamaicans have given us here is unbelievable. I mean, we are family.
Yes.
You know, my minister, since he got to the airport, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has been so delighted. He says, look, King, they look so much like us. They speak like us. They dress like us. We are family. And to be honest, when I got here at the airport, I saw a gentleman who looked very much like my uncle. I saw a lady who looked like my sister.
I know.
In fact, and I was like, oh my God, our ancestors are smiling on us. Because years ago, people tried to divide us. But look at us now. Here we are, embracing each other as brothers and sisters again. Ghana and Jamaica, one family forever.
Forever. And we can identify with that. You know, I saw my father, right, at an event at the Cape Coast Dungeons. And I walked up to him and I said, you are my father. There's no other way to say this to you. So yes, Jamaicans who have been to Ghana, they know exactly what you're talking about. We can't underscore this enough to say how much we are just one people.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because when you look at the historical context, right?
Yes.
We lived in our country peacefully. We were happy because all we really want in life is life itself.
Yes.
After life itself, we want our family to be fed, to be clothed, and to be housed.
Yes.
And after that, we want to be able to protect our little income so we don't have to beg for bread.
Yes.
And we lived in a country where we were happy with those things. We were not greedy, we were not selfish, we were not looking for everything in the world. But somebody who wanted more came to our land, divided us, tore children from the breasts of their mother, separated brothers, and enslaved them. And you know, there's parts of the story they never told because history is always written by the victor, not the vanquished. They never wrote the part that said, some of your forefathers and my forefathers who were put on those ships, they found a way to jump into the sea because they preferred to die and be fed to the fishes than to come and serve a stupid, thieving person who came to colonize. And now we must tell those stories that our people did not just sit there and get taken away, that they were threatened. They were shot at. They were killed.
And we fought back. We fought back on the continent of Africa. We fought back on the slavers. And we fought back on the high seas.
This is the part we must say. This is the part because they never wrote those.
No.
But it's gradually coming out from scrolls and from messages handed down from generation to generation by our griots and our storytellers. We must change the narrative.
We must.
Because wherever a Jamaican exists, and he sits in class with other foreigners, he can be the top of that class. Wherever a Ghanaian sits in class with other foreigners, he can top that class. Nobody is better than us.
One of our greatest heroes on the island here, in terms of our warriors who fought against the enslavement by the Europeans, is Chief Techi. And we,
of course.
We come from Techiman, and we should return to Techiman, if you will. And
you see, it's just important for us to continue reminding our children that before you there were others.
Yes.
And we must give honor to our elders. We must pour libation to our elders, no matter what religion we want to say we now have. We must not tear ourselves away from our ancestry and our heritage. Now come to our visit in Jamaica on this occasion.
Yes, please.
You know, when the hurricanes hit Jamaica, all over the world, of the many countries we have in Africa, in Europe, in North America, in South America, in Asia, and Australasia, Ghana is the only country that stepped up and said, no, Jamaicans are the sons and daughters of our great-grandfathers. If anything worries them, it worries us. So His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama ordered the military, because he's the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, go and help rebuild Jamaica. And that is what our people came here a month ago to do. And we have come over to see our soldiers and give them encouragement and give them motivation that don't be troubled. If you're building Jamaica, you are building Ghana, because Jamaicans are sons and daughters of Ghana.
And we really do appreciate this. When I saw the report, and Benji also sent me the report immediately after the hurricane, to say Ghana was sending not just supplies, not just charitable relief, but also sending in their army, sending in soldiers to come to help to rebuild, and that's over a month ago. And this, not a lot is said about it in the general spaces, but we must say this, and we must underscore that you are correct. The first country from the continent of Africa to say that we must go to Jamaica to assist was Ghana. I know the Rwandans might be upset with you if you say Ghana is the only country, because the Rwandans are also
well,
here.
They follow them.
Yes,
They did follow. Somebody sets the pace for others to follow in the race.
Blessed are those who forge ahead.
And Ghana, having been the very first country in Africa south of the Sahara to gain independence through our great leader and founder, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who was inspired by the Pan-African concept of a great Jamaican by the name Marcus Garvey, led the way. It is important for somebody to show the way, because everybody can talk about being courageous, but it is only when one warrior steps up to fight that even others can say, well, the fight is worth it and we must join too. So kudos to Rwanda, and kudos to all the other countries that followed our lead. But we want Jamaica to know that Ghanaians see you as family. And not only Jamaica, we look at all the nations of the Caribbean. We see you as family.
And let's talk about that. And King, let's talk about that, because this is very important. We have been going back and forth to Ghana since 1992, the first Panafest with Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings, and over the years. So we keep going back every 2 years since 1992. But one of the things that really bothers us in this part of the world, and I see Barbados is making a move on this, is that there are barriers. One of the biggest barriers to Africa-Caribbean unity and Ghana-Caribbean unity is a lack of direct travel. And we've been having conversations about this forever.
Okay, well, let's keep it simple.
Yes.
Let's keep it simple. If the question is longer than the answer, then we have a problem. So, here we go. Yes. Yeah, I've been a broadcaster since I was 19 years old, and we say the interviewer gets to speak only 30% of the time, and the guest gets to speak 70% or more. So, the Ghana-Caribbean
flight, I take it.
The Ghana-Caribbean flight is something that you must understand that the bigger airlines are not happy to happen, because they want to still control travel. And that is not because of racism. That is because of business. That is because of enterprise. It's like controlling the routes for trade. When you control the route for trade, you control what is traded. So that the main obstacle we have is not that we don't have businessmen with the money to do it, but that every time you make a move, external obstacles and threats are thrown in your way. But we must have resolve, because don't forget, there was a time when we could not vote as black people in the United States of America. There was a time when women could not vote. It was a long and hard journey and a long and hard struggle. Maybe it didn't happen in our father's time. Maybe it didn't happen in our grandfather's time. But this is our time, and we are determined to make it happen. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has directed me as his special envoy to the Caribbean region, working in tandem with our Minister of Foreign Affairs to make this a priority. Because this will open small-scale enterprise, it will open medium-scale enterprise for our traders in Africa and the Caribbean to do business. So we are working on it with great resolve, no doubt about that. But I must also remind the rich ones amongst us, don't just invest in buying big cars and building big houses. Investing in legacy. Let it be told 5 years from now, when we have direct flights, that I invested to make this happen, because even though we didn't have sufficient customers to get 100% occupancy for every flight, I still put my money there. And look at us today. Now our flights are overflowing. So we have to look at three things. The threats that we must overcome, the political will of our leaders, and the resource investment of those who are blessed to be wealthy. Let's not look at the wealthy as dangerous people. Let's look at them as people who can help society with their wealth. Let's all also endeavor to have wealth that we too may invest, instead of always looking to somebody else to do so. I believe you, it will happen. It will happen.
We believe that. What can you tell us about this conversation as it is happening with Barbados? Because I know this is something that is being discussed with Barbados. Are we any closer to seeing this?
I just met a delegation 2 weeks ago in Ghana. The delegation came all the way from the Bahamas. So to be honest, Ghana is not looking only at Jamaica. When we are able to do this flight, we are also not looking only at Ghana. Ghana has never been a selfish country. History proves it. We want, when this happens, for the flight which may emanate from Ghana to go to 3 or 4 other West African countries, even maybe go to an East African country as well. And when it comes into the Caribbean, we want to look at the southern end of the Caribbean, we want to look at the central end of the Caribbean, and we want to look at the northern end of the Caribbean. So if we can have 3 or 4 nations, then at least you know that when you land, you have only maybe a 30-minute ride to your final destination. So that is the actual conversation. It is not a conversation only about Jamaica. It's a conversation about Ghana leading in West Africa, and Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, and Lucia, and others also taking the lead in the Caribbean region, so we can all make this happen. And everyone who has rich people must put some investment into it.
Right, that's good news. Can you hold for me? Let me take a quick break. He is Ghana's presidential special envoy to the Caribbean region. His responsibilities, as we've been telling you since morning, include attracting investment, and this is why we're talking about travel and so on, promoting trade and facilitating economic growth. And he's advocating for Ghanaian culture and fostering harmony and mutual capacity building within Caribbean nations.
Fantastic.
King Darko, are you hearing me okay? Yes. Because your background is noisy, so I'm shouting a bit. I hope you can hear me. All right. So
I can hear you. What's happening is that we're just getting ready to go and visit our soldiers. So your minister for Foreign Affairs has just joined my Minister for Foreign Affairs, and we're just doing a photo opportunity while you were talking.
Okay,
but I also want to throw in something about culture and heritage. The culture and heritage that we share as a people. The way we sing, the way we drum, the way we play our instruments, the way we dress, the way we cook, the taste of our food, from jerk chicken to fufu and soup in Ghana. We are one people. And we must project it into the world stage. We want to see every Afro-Caribbean restaurant around the world serving some of our foods. We focus too much on the continental and the Chinese. These are decisions that entrepreneurs must make, because the Chinese foods in all the restaurants did not just start. Chinese businessmen determined, when they invested in hotels and other restaurants, to put their food on the menu. And when you consume something over time, you get used to it. So, in addition to that, we want to collaborate on festivals with you. so that you can participate in our festivals and we can participate in your festivals. What better way to increase the audience for events in both our countries? And on that note, I'm going to plead with you because I have to run. So let me take your very last question because we're joining a couple.
Here's the very last question. Citizenship. I know Ghana is doing this over time. When is the next one? When is the next project?
Oh, we're coming over again in March. We love it here.
Okay.
We're coming over again in March.
I mean citizenship for Caribbean diaspora people, African diaspora people who are now in Ghana, because I know you're doing it in tranches. Do you have a date for the next one?
We're coming again in March, and we will be in touch with you, and we will share with you everything we're doing. Thank you.
All right, brilliant. Thank you so much. I won't keep you any longer. You have answered the question. Thank you, King Dakwa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And greet your Minister of Foreign Affairs for us from IFM.
Sure will. Thank you very much.
22. Thank you so much. This is His Excellency King Kwesi Dakwa, Ghana's Presidential Special Envoy to the Caribbean region. And you can see and hear that everything is fluid. They're now heading out to see the Ghanaian soldiers who are actually here in Jamaica. They came in to assist with hurricane relief over a month ago. They're still here, and we have a really distinguished team that has come into Jamaica, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency King Kwesi Dakwa, and so many others who have come in. You heard him say just now that he is the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Ghana is at this minute with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kamina Johnson-Smith, from Jamaica, together in the very same room that they are there. And they're heading out now to see the soldiers. This is great news. This is the kind of interaction that we want to see, love to see, and really welcome anytime from our brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa. Thank you so much for joining us inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa, and of course we're going through until 10 o'clock. We are paying special attention to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. This is something that came out of the Africa Union. One of the things that they said that they hoped that this would do would be to reshape economic integration on the continent. And we're still looking to see, I know Barbados has gone out ahead of us, but we're still looking to see how Jamaica and other Caribbean states, Caribbean nations, Caribbean countries, let me just get this right, how the extent to which we are kind of plugging into this, right? Into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I am not so sure that we have been doing that to any great extent. I know at the Africa Exim Bank, I know that after Hurricane Melissa, that I'm sure I read somewhere, I don't want to talk out of turn, but I'm sure I read somewhere that there was that monies were made available. Am I wrong? I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm sure I read that somewhere. So we're paying some attention to it. But so much more that can be done that can empower both Africa, continental Africa, and the African diaspora. Of course, King Dakwa is also on the island looking at trade deals. And sounds pretty powerful in theory. On the ground, we have to look at the shipping costs, delays, and so on. There is an interesting thing playing out now, globally, geopolitically, and this, I think, is going to impact trade worldwide. It is already impacting trade worldwide. The continent of Africa is in the middle of this geopolitical storm because of where it is situated and the waterways that surrounds the continent of Africa. So one of the things that we're going to do is to spend some time to look at how these waterways are contributing to or impacting the geopolitical storm that we see happening just generally. Say the Horn of Africa, for example, we're looking at what's happening with Ethiopia and the Grand Renaissance Dam. There is a dispute there. As a matter of fact, the Nile is still in contention. The Canal de Suez is still in contention. The Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea, and just all of that area. Once again, take out your map. Good morning. How are you doing? Welcome to the space. Look at you. I'm so sorry. I just couldn't ignore my next very special guest walking into the studio. You can tell that I'm totally distracted, looking beautiful as ever. Okay, make yourself comfortable. We'll soon come. All right, so we're looking at, for example, I see what Egypt is doing. So Egypt has come out swinging because from the very beginning of the building of the dam, Egypt has been against this because of some colonial treaty that it signed with Britain for the use of the Nile. And so Ethiopia, you remember that song, We Are the World, We Are the People, We're One, and so on, and famine in Ethiopia. That was an artificial famine. The Nile wasn't dry. How come we never have the same famine in Egypt? You understand? And there's a whole political thing around that, and we have been talking about that for years and years and years. But Egypt, along with Abu Dhabi, and we're not going to leave out the UAE. There are some things happening in that part of the world that if we take our eyes off this, we'll miss this, what appears to be a gray swan event. I was going to say a black swan, but a gray swan event. Because we can tell that something is about to happen in that region. So that region overlooks the Red Sea, obviously, the Strait of Hormuz, and that entire region that overlooks Yemen, and on the backside of Yemen and so on, is Iran. This entire region is blowing up. Ethiopia is caught in the crosshairs. Somalia is caught in the crosshairs. Somaliland is caught there. And of course, Egypt. Now, if all these countries are caught in this war, because there is a war that has already started in this region. Right. I don't have time to explain it all in terms of the war itself, but there's an ongoing conflict there. And if you think Yemen, then you'll understand what I'm saying, because there's a vicious war underway there. And this is why Israel is saying, we're going to recognize Somaliland. By the way, history is repeating itself. Let us just be clear about this. Let us be very, very clear that it is phenomenal the extent to which history is repeating itself. 1914, the Austrian Archduke and his wife went on honeymoon to Sarajevo. Was it Sarajevo? Yes, Sarajevo, I think. In the Balkans, anyway. And a series of events that looked like they never did happen. As they say that 1914, World War I was a black swan event, In other words, it was an unknown. And the please read upon it, the series of events that unfolded that led to World War I, phenomenal. World War II, very interesting. That could have been that is more of a gray swan event. But when you look at what happened, the League of Nations that was convened after World War I, so that what happened in World War I and the millions that died in World War I, that this wouldn't happen again. So the League of Nations was formed, the League of Nations formed. But the League of Nations was impotent to do anything when strong nations challenged its power. So when Japan invaded Manchuria, they couldn't do anything. Italy looked on that and said, well, if you couldn't do nothing to Japan, then I'm going to invade Italy. And so Ethiopia. And remember that whole thing with the mustard gas and everything. His Majesty exiled in the UK, left from the UK, spoke up a League of Nations. Look at his speech again. It is not just about today for me, tomorrow for you. It is much deeper than that. So read the speech of Her Majesty again and understand that we're in that time right now. Venezuela is interesting in this. All that cacophony around Greenland, this has a role to play. But more importantly, what's happening in Gaza? Because the Board of Peace is a replication of the Council of Vienna, the Council of Vienna, which within the Council of Vienna is the concert of what was the concert of what name again? But in any case, so these two organizations, the Concert of Europe. So these two organizations sound familiar? We've had them already, right? The United Nations came out of World War II, like the League of Nations came out of World War I. The Concert of Europe and the Council of Vienna. People talk about replacing the United Nations, but we're looking at it wrong. Let me just say this. Because if anything, the Council of Peace is replacing the United Nations Security Council and not the United Nations. So you have to look at the concept to understand history and how history is repeating itself. You have to look at the concept of Europe and the Council of Vienna. Anyway, I'm out of time. Ethiopia is in the crosshairs. Ethiopia is in the crosshairs. I'll find some time and talk about this. The Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was on the social media all of yesterday, literally saying, and this is me just paraphrasing, we are an ancient dynasty, if you will. We are an ancient power. We are before time and we will be here after time. And we nah make nobody, whether it is Egypt or Israel, although they're very close with Israel, but no one at all. Ethiopia says, we are going to fight back. Now, this kind of posturing resembles what happened in 1914. What Egypt is doing around Ethiopia resembles what happened in 1914. And there's a whole lot more there. What Italy is about to do, what Israel is about to do in Somaliland, because I'm not giving that up, resembles what happened in 1930. And Somalia finds itself in bed with UAE. This is a whole other situation. So we're over here looking at what they are telling us to look at. But remember, as African people, we see a bigger picture, and all of that is centered right around the horn. And my very special guest in studio is my sister friend, my beloved sister friend, Natisia Bohart-Singh, attorney at law, human rights advocate, and specialist in global human rights issues in the areas of gender, development, peace, security, and repatriation justice. She is founder and chair of Children of the Ma'afa. We discussed that with you when you were forming that, so here you are. And Recognition, Justice and Development Project, which is a civil society initiative. She is a recipient of the UN Human Rights Fellow, United Nations UN Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights Fellowship. That's a fellowship program, for the people of African descent. And that was in 2020. We discussed that with you too, didn't we, Natisia? We'll tell you more about her as we go along. She's the recipient also of the 100 most influential people of African descent under the age of 40, New York class of 2021. She's also the recipient of Culturegate Africa Hall of Fame Unforgettable Diaspora Award, Nigeria. And that was 2024. She's also received the Women Peacemaker Fellow, University of San Diego Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice, Women Peacemaker Fellowship, and 2022 shortlisted. She was shortlisted for the Inter-American Commission program, Inter-American Commission on Human Rights Lawyers. Tell me about that last one, because how come I don't know this one?
I know, right? You know, the truth is, by the way, greetings. Good morning. You know, I was counseled on not listing the things that I was shortlisted for. And so I added it. So I usually don't talk about the shortlisted things.
Okay.
But
that's why we don't know about that.
But I'm told that not supposed to go so.
I do agree. I do agree. But what an accomplishment, though, at your very young age. And all of this in the last, 7 years?
Yes,
or
8 years.
So. That's a little bit after you leave university.
Yes.
Because tell us about your university years. Because I know you're an attorney, but you also have, is it an MSc?
Right, and a first degree, and also a degree in history. A little known fact, because we branch out in the law, we start out about law, but the groundings, for example, of reparative justice and the cultural elements, are from my love of history, and I have a degree in history. I have a first degree from UWI in history. I did that between 2006 and 2009. It was after that I went to law school, so to speak, and then did a master's in gender and development. So I try to merge the things I'm interested in, because I always believe that you must have a sort of grounding in a discipline before you open your mouth. I just believe that, So whether it's a certification or a degree, I try to make sure I'm certified to be able to add to the dialogue.
I do understand you, and you have also been heavily involved in recent times because you've been in and out of school. Obviously,
yes.
the MSc was within the last 2 years.
2 years, yes.
Right. So you were studying during COVID.
Right, and started, stopped, and of course just doing other things, because we take for granted the certificates that you try to get. I did a lot of certificate courses in the UN Training Center, for example, in the peace. That's how the peace and justice aspect came in. Because when I recognized that I love the law, but I also love the gender dimension. But which aspect of the gender dimension do I really want to zoom in? And I recognize that the women, peace and security aspect was the problematic area for me. And so I wanted to understand that. At that point, Jamaica didn't have any sort of signatory to those things, because we didn't think that war was of our concern. Of course, there's new development.
And yet we've been on ongoing civil war. I know you're not going to say that civil war, but we've been in an ongoing civil war. But women have been at the brunt of this.
It is true.
For years and years.
And violence, obviously. And so my research under the Women Peacemaker Fellowship, for example, which we can touch on if you wish, was on chronic violence in Jamaica and those things. So security became this thing that I wanted to understand, and the chronic nature of violence, not just talking about violence, and how peace and negative and positive peace and those things. So, what people call hard stuff, but I love the areas.
And one of the things that you're good at is simplifying them stuff there for all of us, that we can understand what it is you're talking about when we talk about violence against women, when we talk about peace and security, and put that with justice, and within a wider framework too. Because one of the things that we find here on the island is a lot of people who go academic on these issues, they use the academic language when they're talking to the masses of the people, which most of us do not understand.
Absolutely.
And cannot identify with. So this is one of the reasons why you're here this morning, because you've also embraced over time, and this has always been you, by the way, in terms of what you're settling in as your areas of interest, gender, but also human rights.
Right.
And talk to us about that aspect of things, because you've been working with the World Bank, with the United Nations, of course, and with a lot of these international bodies.
Right. Well, I have been asked by the World Bank to be one of their official expert contributors. Those are their language. On gender equality, I started by acknowledging in 2022, I believe, a random email from somebody from the World Bank who looked me up on social media. So it wasn't that I know anyone there. And then they asked me to help with a report, and I did. And after helping with that report, which was then published, got a certificate, they then requested that I help with a second report, and then offered me in that time the invitation to become a part of their expert contributors officially. Accepted and since contributed to two other reports. One being launched, one of their flagship report this year. So looking forward to that, and we can talk more on the findings. But that was on Jamaica, so I do that for them. And then I was on assignment last year quietly, because most of the things I do nowadays, as you said earlier, quietly. And I like that. I like that now, because it's substance, I'd say, over hype. You know, let's just say that.
Totally understand. And good work, though, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because we tell you this privately all the time. But we're really, really impressed with the work that you've been doing, the global the contribution you're making globally, if you will.
Thank you,
Let me take a quick break and we'll come right back. And we're going to invite you to come back to talk about gender issues. I know they overlap, but human rights, specifically as they relate to violence in Jamaica, and one particular issue that you are now focused on. But I want to first of all kind of just look broadly at your work in human rights on the island, because this is something that you in recent times have really zoomed in on, in addition to the gender work, in addition to the Pan-African work, in addition to the World Bank, etc.
Right. Well, the truth is I like to look at marginalized populations, because I believe that population is a forgotten population. And after knowing my history, the atrocities my grandfather and others suffered in Coral Gardens, that for me is the I would say catalyst, right? So when you start to uncover that injustices will happen, and it will happen based on where you're from. It can happen based on if you're a person living with HIV, etc. Then you start to have to understand that it's closer to home than you think. And so for me, I have done work with, as you know, with persons living with HIV. I was a lawyer for Jamaica AIDS Support for a little while. I was chair of Women in Need Watch, looking at those human rights issues. And from time to time, quietly, have been helping ordinary Jamaicans, outside of just being in an organization, with navigating the justice elements of whether it's a case, whether it's a violation done. I've had several people quietly message me, people I don't know, and I have given the advice that they need to be able to understand their rights. And so for me, it's more than just being hired as an attorney for. I am someone who will be there in the moment when I believe that someone's rights are being trampled upon and they are unaware of the next steps. And so recently I have had to activate that side of me, even though we talk about the research and the things that I'm doing to help at a higher level. I mean, I go, as you know, I go to the UN and the UN Permanent Forum, and I advocate on the floor, for example, for a particular change that I need to see the end result in a report, and to talk about the state of affairs in Jamaica. That's another level. But there are the other levels, the ground levels, I call it, where, like the case that I am now currently working on quietly or publicly, if it becomes that, you know, to underscore that Jamaicans are not just walking around as birds in the field, just free for as we would say, shot. You know, there are safeguards. There are these constitutional rights guaranteed to us, and that they have to be activated when it seems that they are being breached. And so I have been working on a particular matter.
So do you want to talk about that matter? Because obviously beyond the criminal investigation or any kind of ongoing investigation, as you're saying, there's a constitutional element to it. And the matter we're talking about is a case of 4-year-old Romain Bowman,
aka Fat Man,
who was recently viciously, violently, if you will, killed in Montego Bay. Can you give us a background?
In Granville. Right, and you know, it's one that's close to home for me, Kheru. And when I say close to home, I mean literally. My mother lives across the street from where he was killed.
across the street.
This is a little baby who was at, and I'm gonna say because I know you announced the passing of my own son. This was a little baby who was running up and down in the church when my son was being, laid to rest, so to speak. His little sister, who was in the room at the time of the shooting, sang at my son's funeral. So this is way close. More than close to home.
Yes.
And it's a community that I grew up in, but also understand the culture of it. Let me tell you something. People can always speculate when things happen outside of their purview, especially persons who live in certain types of communities who don't understand zinc fence versus wall, who don't understand borders versus wall, who don't understand how communities live, doors open at whatever time, right? So I'm saying this because I've been looking at the news, and I don't come talk about any and anything, because I also believe in justice on either side. When it is when the state is doing something correct, I say the state is doing something correct. When they are not, it is also my duty to speak out. So this is a matter that took place on January 1st, as we may know, right? I got the call very, very early in the morning. I was in New York at the time, and I got this side of the family from that time. I then started to do my own investigation, and then I started to watch the news. The baby was killed, and what I did not appreciate is that though you can have a side of the story about gunmen, and we hear that, we hear police shoot and soldier shoot and who did shoot back, this is not what my issue is. My issue is not about having a conversation about who did wrong and who did right, and who did have gun and who never have gun. I'm saying we must not have a system or a country that we can be casualties of the state in any random way. We cannot just be like birds, as I said. You can't be in your home and don't know if you're going to die by the bullet of a police or a soldier, if them running down somebody or them running in your house. And I'm not asking, because I've been in Granville before and witnessed run up and down the culture of security forces coming into certain communities and a run down people and a fire shot. That is, for me, that does not secure the right to life. It doesn't give us any safety, any safeguard. It could have been my mother. And people may ask, but your mother never did it because of the side of the story they hear. I'm saying, the police and soldiers going into Granville, and I can speak about Granville, they don't have no regard for the people who live there. And I'm not asking, because I've witnessed it. And I have been on the road, for example, and my niece is also an attorney, and I've been on the road, and they don't think that lawyers and doctors even dep on them street there. I could break it down. And when they come up one day,
because here you're dealing now with classism.
And I want to bring the attention to the people about what I'm fighting against in this matter before we even touch the matter. I'm saying, when they enter into certain communities, it's not humans that them think them dealing with. And therefore the laws that them should even think about, that them must not do this because the repercussion, them not think about that. It is when they do it done, then them justify them action. And the justification can be, okay, somebody fire shot or somebody did whatever. I'm saying that's not good enough. I have been on the street where a police officer drive up one day, for example, and I visit Granville. I've never left Granville, as I say to people, lawyer or no lawyer, right? Because there you come from, them are your bread, And I've been on the street where a police officer come up there seeing two people arguing and didn't know what it was. And if you hear the man just talking to the other man, I had to intervene. And when I intervened, before identifying myself, a girl him gelling me up and stuff. So I had to say, by the way, I am his lawyer. I never, when I start talking, him reverse down the road.
So this is a big part of how we do law, and law and order, if you will, in Jamaica. And so earlier we talked about the constitutional rights, right? So I want to go to that, because I think beyond this there is obviously classism in Jamaica. Jamaica is a classist society.
Absolutely.
I know we talk about racism a lot, but we do not talk about classism in the way that we should talk about classism. So that when they go into these communities, immediately your sons are criminalized,
right?
As you enter that community. So the point I hear you making, Natisha, then is how then do these communities, which have been devalued in many, many different ways, become depraved and deprived communities? How then do the individuals, much less the community itself, get information, first of all, about their own rights, but knowing that they are also protected if they assert these rights?
You know, a couple of years ago, I believe it was either in COVID or before, I don't remember, because I did an interview with you on it. I saw the need to do some legal literacy in my mother's backyard, as Denise Isis Millard interviewed me also. I said, and I did that because I recognize that the young men who are already branded as gunmen and whatever, and this is not in defense of anybody, because as I say, I don't really know what people do, but at the end of the day, you are correct. There is a need for persons to understand their rights. And when I did that, legal literacy, so to speak, one of them said to me that they utilize the very training when the police come back to kick off their door, and it worked.
Oh, it worked?
Yes. And I know that because when I was the attorney for Jamaica Aid Support, that was part of what we did with vulnerable population to let them understand the rights, so that the brutality, they could at least say to persons that I understand that you need to search, you need to do this, right? So legal literacy is so important, and I did that because what I recognize is that persons don't understand their rights, and right now I have to be taking the civil rights attorney approach, so to speak. When George Floyd was killed and persons said, well, you know, he's deceased and he doesn't need the attorney because obviously the state will prosecute the offenders, right? But what they benefited from more than anything before it reached to the UN level where they start to do conventions and all of that and draft this was that they had, for Ben, who...
That's the attorney.
Yeah, before even any lawsuit. And so what we have to get away from in this country is to think that the only use that you need a lawyer for is when somebody lock you up or when you need to sue somebody. Long before that, persons in certain communities don't know the next steps. They don't know that you have to start thinking about, why is it that my 4-year-old was killed in a crossfire? Forget about who did a rundown, who did shoot first. What is the system? What is the system that's set up to prevent these things from happening? Who is to be held accountable when these
Hold
things
that there
happen?
because I want to come back and answer those questions for me. Ask you to answer those questions. Let me take a break. So I hear you. So first of all, so what is the system that is set up to?
So I am the type of person who look from domestic to international. That's how I think. We have the domestic. When I say domestic, I mean, yes, there's INDICOM investigating. So I have been asked, by the way, let me say this outright. I've been asked by the family to be their attorney.
This is obviously a baby.
Yes, of Romain.
4-year-old Romain.
Right. So let's say that clear. So I am the attorney who is on the matter, so to speak, guiding in the capacity of which I just discussed.
Brilliant.
Because there is a criminal matter to be established, that it has not yet been established. Obviously, you know, the ways in which that would happen if somebody's charged, etc., etc.
So there's this criminal investigation that is going on.
INDICOM is in the picture.
I
have been in Montego Bay. From I landed in Jamaica, I've been on the ground. I have taken my time to get my own information. I have uncovered conversations not yet passed on. I met with INDICOM also. Can't say a lot about what we discussed, etc. And not to interfere with an investigation, but to make sure that I am au fait with what's happening. It has been very, very productive.
Do we at least know whose bullet, which gun the bullet come from?
I can't say publicly, but I'd say stay tuned. I am pleased with what is happening so far in terms of the ways in which I think things should happen. So let's see what happened further. The family was in Kingston on Thursday for the autopsy. I was in communication with them. I met with, it's a very hands-on approach that I'm taking. This is a family.
It's a result public. I mean, this is a baby we're talking about. And I really want to say condolences again to the family, to the community. And we're going to have to be very sensitive in just discussing this.
Absolutely.
But this is a 4-year-old baby. Right, who was shot in the... In places. We're not have liberty to say where. Do we know
places? But you're correct. And as I said, for me, I'm treading carefully because I'm also an attorney, and with that comes the responsibility.
I understand that, and also we want to be very sensitive about with this discussion. So you're saying beyond the criminal investigation,
because what the family really needs at this moment, and as they said, when I met with them, I like to say, tell me what you need, tell me what you need, and justice was at the top of it, and I'm so not even money, you know what I mean, and I was heartened by that. Because a lot of persons coming to them, I can say this, and I'm so disappointed in some of these individuals, some of these leaders going into the community, trying to make it into their own sort of, going to the family and being just insensitive about offers in a time. Hang
on there a sec, hang on. Go back up a bit.
Yes.
What did you just say?
Yes, very insensitive, some of these. But
what are you saying has been done? Because
some persons going to offer them not just to say, let us see if how we can solve this together and this and that, and I'm trying very hard.
In other words, do not take this. Your impression is do not take this any further. Let us
my impression. My impression based on the conversation, and I'm disappointed. Okay. I'm disappointed because it just tells you.
Are these police officers you're saying? Or
no.
Others,
other persons. We won't name them at this time. I'm not at liberty because of the.
But to be clear, these are not police officers.
Not police officers.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, when I got the information that I needed, I was quite disappointed because of the value placed on the young life lost and the price that people think they can put on certain people in certain communities, and that's the most I will say, because I'm not out to be in any drama with people, and that's why I never even go out there and say anything, right? I just took it as a cue to know how I'm going to deal with this matter after.
So at the United Nations level, and I remember when Jamaica went before the CERD, I think it was. Was it the CERD?
Yes, it was.
And
you mean the Rastafari community?
Yes.
Application that we.
Exactly. Sorry, exactly. Right, but what Jamaica said at the time, is that what is happening now, what is playing out in Jamaica, and I hear you situating this within classism, to be sure.
Absolutely.
And I think we can go beyond racism. But it would appear to me, and I'm not quite sure Jamaica spoke, Jamaica copped to classism, but I know definitely that, the CERD was told that there's no racism on the island.
Yes. And they said a lot of other things. I recently read that exchange, by the way, for another project that I was doing. So it's quite fresh in my mind. We've moved from a conversation in the government, that is, and I'm not speaking about just the government of the day. You recall the conversation you and I had some years ago about the fact that they said we don't have any indigenous people here, and that was being written to the CERD, like report after report, up to 2021 or 2019, if my memory serves me correctly. And the CERD, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to make this point. The CERD kept writing back to Jamaica to say, you need to broaden the definition of racial discrimination, as is in Article 1 of the CERD. And that is important, because let me tell you why. Racial discrimination, as is in our constitution, not even racial discrimination, race, done. That's it.
Right.
Racial discrimination has a different kind of meaning and connotation. When you broaden it to direct and indirect, it comes to not just hue and color and those things, but the structural things. the things attached to the race. So poor people, poor black people live in Amobie. You're going to find poor black people living in certain parts.
Right.
They're based on that, they're going to be marginalized and stuff. This is how you have to look at racial construct.
Right.
It's not just about your color, your skin, and therefore you live in a predominantly black population, and so no racism can go on.
Right.
Which is what we say. You have to look at the facts of the thing when it comes to, yes, you live in a predominantly black population, so you now have to go structural.
Right.
You have to now start to say who you're going to find in certain places.
Right.
What is the racial view? What can you now do? How the discrimination operate? Who going to get these jobs? You understand? So it's a more complex.
What is our current situation? Because Jamaica has been pushing back against this hard. I mean, whether it is at the third or it is right anywhere in Jamaica, or whatever microphone is taken. So what are you getting in terms of how, and this is not JLP or PNP, but how government, as you said earlier, it views this particular issue? Because Granville is a case in point.
Yes.
You come in running and shooting.
Right. And then, because you can say somebody that shoot.
Right.
But how is the right to life then in the Constitution guaranteed? Because let me tell you, in the said Constitution, there's a right to the child, right? The child has a right in the Constitution also, right? And it runs not just from the Jamaica Constitution, but Article 6 in particular of the Convention on the right.
Have we signed on to any of these things?
Of course.
Or we just know...
Article, no. We're very well under the Convention on the Right to the Child. That's where you have the advocate children and all of them, something, right? I'm saying Article 6 on the Convention says you must not just guarantee the right to life of the child, but also the development of the child et al. And I'm looking at it to say, because there's a committee, and I'm willing to take this matter wherever the family needs me to take it, because I understand the UN system, thankfully. So long before, and these committees say you must exhaust domestic remedies first. That's why you know see me write a petition already.
Right.
So I'm saying these are guarantees and safeguards, guarantee not just at the local level, but the international. And it says that when these rights are breached, you have to, as the state party, because the rights, your human rights are not just vertical but horizontal, meaning the state has a duty, but you and me, Kabu, have a duty to not violate our human rights. And police and soldiers are agents of the state, and therefore the state must make sure that neither them or their agents are breaching people's human rights.
So how do we assess whether the state agencies are fulfilling or breaching, say, the rights of the child or human rights generally?
Well,
I wouldn't.
Or
the right to life, if you will.
I wouldn't say simple, but when you look at what the Constitution says, you have the right to life, and their safeguard is that the state should do everything in their power. When you look at the situation in Montego Bay, when you come into a community and just randomly shoot, you're not giving anybody any just regard to their life. And if it's
but this is a norm, isn't it?
But we have to break the. Well, I know you and I are on the same page, but I have to say it loud. We can't continue in the norm, though. I am not about this norm in this country. I am over it, and that's why some people may say I try to get involved in the difficult things. It's because without getting involved in it, you can't have change. I am having a fundamental problem with anybody who feel like they can treat somebody else less than.
Because we have normalized that,
right,
which is the thing.
You know what the young men said to me, Kabu, when I did my own investigation, and I'm saying it loosely, investigation. They said, Nene, you know, that's what them call me. They said, Nene, we'll have something for make you listen to. I'm going to say this publicly. Nene, we have something for make you listen to. I may say what? And them say, listen to this. When I listening is a recording of the night. The very night we're talking about. I'm going to tell you how bad it is in terms of how people fare and how they see themselves in certain communities defeated. That even when they have their rights, they are not going to want to activate it because they don't matter. These same young men, some of whom I did this legal literacy thing with, when they say, listen to this, I mean, listen. Me say, what? This is the night of the shooting? This is the night? So why nobody not have this. Them say, because if we bring this to none of them probably turn around like we up. Them probably turn around. It's like they see themselves so much as a victim that even though they may have something,
this is evidence.
Even though they may have something that can add value to what is to the sese around the January 1, they are afraid to do anything.
Yes.
And I'm trying to explain to you the crippling effect of our own persons who say they are to serve and protect. They don't see themselves. I had to stand up in my mother's yard and talk on the top of my voice. This was whenever I landed and went down there. I had to, the Monday, while Indicom was down in the yard doing their investigation, I had to be standing up there to say to them, you are going to have to choose if you want to live like this, or you want, when police and soldiers coming into your community, they think twice and that they walk with their handbook as to how to treat with persons like you. You're going to have to choose. I had to do that. And then, of course, I went and I said, there's a chain of causation, etc. There's I can't take it on my phone, etc. And then I dealt with it properly.
So Indicom, does Indicom know about this?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Because I'm responsible enough to. It's not something. I'm just giving you an example of the crippling effect. Because these are some of the same young men who were there, were on the road. You understand?
Yeah. So a lot has been lost in the process, and this has been going on for a long time in terms of confidence, in terms of your humanness.
Absolutely.
In terms of how you see yourself as a what Rex Nettleford called somadification.
Yeah.
You understand? So here we are. I mean, outside of it, because we're also going through a geopolitical upheaval where the agencies that have been in place to that would police, if you will, these rights that we're talking about are themselves being devalued, where America, the leading superpower right now, has even withdrawn from so many of them, 66 or 67 or 75 of them recently. And we're up to last night or yesterday we saw in Minnesota, just 2 weeks after a woman was gunned down, a man, a nurse, an ICU nurse was gunned down, and the posturing of the administration, which of course Jamaica, takes its cue from the United States, and we are already on that road. How does this impact your work? How does this impact the ability of even these very same agencies to police any of these things that we're talking about? Because when we talk about human rights, don't we going back to United Nations?
Yeah, but the funny thing is impact is so huge, because even me talking now, persons will take their posture and their cue because you're most settings. I've tried my best to live above or outside of the so-called system that we're operating in. It means that I'm good. I'm good with talking now. It wasn't always like that, because I saw JFJ, for example, did a protest against the police. And then I saw a counter protest and a big online campaign, and nobody stopped to say parliamentarians are not voted in by themselves. They are voted in by people in the community. And I know I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to you, but I have to say this loud. They don't stop to break it down the way I break down my work. You're voted in by a constituency with actual people to make laws and to protect. And then based on who win, you become government. And based on that, somebody become prime minister, and somebody become whatever, and you're in charge of agency. And you're in charge of, and the police who do training to do this service. If you break it down like that, you understand why it cannot be personal. Outside of it being personal to who is dead, etc. It means you have to activate the system, not your personality. And I find that every time you come out and say anything about recently, more than any time, and I'm being very objective here, every single time somebody doing them job, and a human rights activist, whatever, you get a serious pushback, organized pushback.
Close to losing your life.
Yeah. And I'm like, are you serious? Right now, this is where we're at. So I'm saying, yes, you have police doing lawful work and executing them duties properly.
Yes.
But we have to focus on the ones that are not. And those are the ones that we're talking about. So to come out and push back in the way like just not talk, just a son.
Right.
I can't live in a state like that.
Your actions as activists, as human rights activists, as civil rights activists, your actions are criminalized by the very state
that you are in. What can go so?
Let me take a break.
They don't kicking. You're born. You're born as a person. You have human rights. Let's start there. We're breaking it down like that.
Yeah.
It means that for any of these rights to be infringed upon by the state or otherwise and taken away or whatever the infringement may be, there are provisions for that then. State of war, emergency, that's where you hear say, okay, you can't move up and down when you have a state of emergency, freedom of movement curtailed. But other than that, the guarantees still stand. So, for example, when a security personnel is going to go into a community and whether it's their bullet, say it's their bullet, kill a child, it has to be that you have to, it's like, how do you then negotiate his right to life and you doing your work? How do you do that? How do you randomly and I'm trying as best as I can so that the population can understand what I'm saying. You can't just take away somebody's life without a justification. I saw the law say. And if you do that, it means it's a breach. In the same way, you can't just come take with somebody's property unless there's a justification and then there's normal compensation and all of these things. These are things in the Constitution.
So what the justification is that there's shootout between police and gunman, the baby's collateral damage.
But what's the duty of care? Because we don't know about no collateral damage in your constitutional right. What's the duty of care that you take? Because if you are shooting randomly 40, 50 shot, at some point it must come in your head say, you may kill people, especially when a board house you deal with. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying we have to, even the state, even if the state didn't consider what I'm saying now, and even if the security forces didn't consider what I'm saying, that's why I have force orders. A lot of things that we used to complain about when it comes to vulnerable population, them gone in a force order now when police start to learn, so them to talk to people better. I have had to deal with some of these matters. I go down to St. Anne's Bay police station one day because of a report I got from one of my clients when I was at Jassel. And what happened was them said that's not supposed to happen because we got training on this. I'm saying it's a work in progress, everything. But at the end of the day, there needs to be a conversation now about how you deal with tracks and road like in a Mount CLM, in a Mobile, and in a Granville. And when you have a fire shot, how you have to think twice now about the person's constitutional rights to their life and the woman's right to watch her picnic grow and those things. So what I need is a better conversation inside of the security forces as to how you're going to execute your job and get your just result, but preserving the liberty, dignity, the right to life, safeguard of property, all these things that we're also guaranteed, that are non-negotiable and inalienable, so says the law. And I think that is my main conversation.
Well taken, and once again, congratulations, you are a disruptor. You come to disrupt this system. And I think it's really needed, it's never too late. So, welcome to the space. You've been doing this for a very long time, actually. So good that you've taken this up from a legal perspective. Finally, Nat, what does justice look like beyond conviction in cases like young Romain, 4 years old, from a constitutional and human rights perspective?
Peace of mind. Peace of mind.
Safe environment.
Yeah. We need those guarantees. The regular Jamaican need to feel like we not just hear people talk about these things, but it's at our doorstep too. I want persons, especially in the communities that I know the injustices happen every day, to know that they don't have to know a lawyer like me. What I mean is they don't have to know a Natisha. Because I think that the family know a Natisha and they know Aisat or whomever they call upon in these moments.
I'm going to underscore again, that if what they said happened in terms of who did I run in what direction, that shot and those gunshots could have gone into your mother's house, right? Because it's right across the street, just on the other side of the road.
And I just plugging this to say, I heard somebody said, because I'm watching the social media space, some of them talk very random and I know nothing. I saw this former police officer or current police, not sure, he's on my page, saying I must open the door for the gunman. You know what? I said to my sister, some fret when I hear about the shooting because for my niece always left it downstairs open. You know what my sister said? He did open. He's the community.
And this is our community.
This is how it's stay.
Yeah.
Food downstairs it open. I am told. You understand what I'm saying here?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So the speculations about who did have because when you hear about volatile community, them brand communities as volatile.
Yes.
People not trouble people unless you and them in a things. In a them the community there. Me go in a Granville and dead it. What I'm saying is you have to know the culture and this is the last thing I want to say too, because I come right back around. With policing, you have to understand the culture. With anything at all. You have to understand the terrain. School people into the terrain you're going in. So the house them are close to one another. I go track on a road.
But hasn't Zoso and Zone of and so on been in those areas for a very long time?
Well,
in other words, you know the community.
Well, I would hope so. But I think I'm saying
but there's
different school of policing needs to happen and soldiering.
Yeah.
And I think is my general conversation. Yeah. Because if it's not a Natisha, then persons need to still know, say, them should have faith and getting justice. Browning, as we call her, affectionately, the mother of Romaine, Fat Man, didn't have to guess if what I got come out of this after losing a child. Didn't have to call an Natisha then, unless she needed an Natisha.
You're saying it would be systemic. The system would be
absolutely
in place that would be activated once this happened.
Even me being here having to speak should be a last resort, because we should be confident in a system that works for all, not just for some.
What kind of counseling has been given to the parents?
None that I know of. Actually, I was trying to figure that part out. I'm trying to do a lot here in the sense of quiet things that I do a lot, by the way, without having to publicize it, because I do a lot of quiet groundwork, helping a lot of persons navigate. But I'm saying right now, because this is such a public thing, I have to be very gentle with this process. And I have been so far, and we're holding strain and holding on. I know a lot more than we are saying.
Yes.
But the one thing I want to say, Kabu, I am seeing this through to the end. I am, and I have a lot of my colleagues who message me to say, Natisha, if you don't have time to do the civil part, when that part come, we will pitch in, and I'm so grateful for them. But I'm seeing through. I'm overseeing the process,
and you're seeing it through.
And I'm seeing this through to every single level, even to the international level.
My sister, friend, thank you for the activism.
Thank you, my
Thank
sister.
you for the work. Give thanks, Natisha Bohart Singh. Louis Farrakhan in this region, the Caribbean and North America, the Caribbean and Latin America. And he's also, the Trinidad representative of the Nation of Islam. Let me get that right. We know him as an author. We know him as a broadcaster also. He's coming in this morning as the former and longest serving manager of the Trinidad and Tobago national senior men's football team, the Soca Warriors. I'm going to go back to the break, but let me see if Dr. David Mohammed is with us. David, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, brilliant. So I just wanted our listeners to know the hat you're wearing this morning. It's a total different hat. I don't think you've ever worn it on this program, but welcome. I have some more ads. Let me just do this break and come back.
Yes.
And longest serving manager of the Trinidad and Tobago national senior men's football team. How long did you serve, David?
Well, I served from 2007 to 2011, and then I was reappointed in 2013 and served up to 2016. I did 126 matches with the senior team, and I did a 1 month long tour with the under 23, which was in Canada and Puerto Rico for the Olympics, the Pan American Games. And I did 2 tours as manager of the under 17 team in Haiti and Honduras. I went to 27 countries in all with the Trinidad and Tobago national team, which would have included about 6 or 7 events in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. And so you're
including the final of 2014, where we lost on penalties.
So you're well qualified to look at the issues from this perspective, but also wearing your hat as a geopolitical analyst. That the FIFA World Cup that is about to be rolled out, and so many issues around this right now. FIFA has found itself in a very tricky situation, hasn't it?
It has, and I dare say that is nothing new. In my observation, and of course, I've always spoken plainly then, and I still speak plainly now, to me, it's often a matter of who is on the receiving end of whatever kickback there may be, who stands to suffer the consequences of decisions that are made. Mm-hmm. And it always has been like that, and it's no different now.
Mm-hmm. What would you say that there's a difference to the extent that the immigration issues, the issues surrounding immigration in the United States, where the World Cup will be played, a lot of the games will be played, that remind me, because I'm not sure, isn't this the first time that we're seeing this kind of a situation where there's so many challenges around getting visas? There are many laws that have been put in place. People and a hostile environment is being created, not just for players, but for fans.
Yeah, and let me make a build-up point to that, all right? Because, I mean, I've been looking at the World Cup since I was a child, obviously, you know, and I took notice of something around 2010. So Trinidad and Tobago, we qualified for the 2006 World Cup. And I remember Jamaica qualified in 1998. So from 2006, I was appointed 1 year after that. I remember the next World Cup was in South Africa, 2010. Mm-hmm. And I was really taken aback by the amount of negative propaganda in at least the 2 years preceding 2010 about South Africa and why the World Cup should not be held there.
Mm-hmm, I remember.
I mean,
that.
it was very hostile,
yes.
you know, media reports and very sensationalist. And also, you know, bordering on racist.
I know we covered it widely here too. We were pushing back at this in a serious way in this space. Yeah. I do remember that, yes.
Yeah. Now, when the World Cup did happen in 2010, many people were referring to it as the best World Cup ever. True. The spirit, the vibe, the zuzuelas, the sound, the culture, the songs, the quality of play, everything about it. Many people refer to it as the greatest World Cup ever. Now, 4 years later, the World Cup goes to Brazil, who, of course, would have hosted the World Cup before. Brazil would have won the World Cup more than any other team, arguably the most successful football nation in the history of the world. And there was a similar kind of negative hype about the World Cup being held in Brazil in 2014. And there were so many news reports and investigative journalist presentations and documentaries about how dangerous Brazil is and why they should not have it there. And again, it was almost like memories of South Africa 2010. Then in 2018, it came back to Europe. There were no problems, even though Ukraine and Russia, I mean, today there's a war zone there, but there were the hostilities there from since back then. But we didn't hear any complaints. 2022, come back to Qatar. Again, all kinds of hype. I think you can see the point that I'm building up to.
I see the point
all
you're
kinds
getting
of
to.
hype
Yes.
and propaganda about Muslims and human rights and civil rights, and that they're going to arrest and execute gays and lesbians. It was insane. And about the alcohol not being able to be sold. Now, here we come to 2026. And to me,
Yes.
there are much bigger concerns about holding the World Cup in the United States of America under President Donald Trump than there were in South Africa 2010, Brazil 2014, Russia, Ukraine 2018, and Qatar 2022. But what reaction do we see from FIFA? We give the president a FIFA Peace Prize.
Let me take a break.
And we see the president being praised and supported and congratulated in a way that's difficult to understand by most people who are observing from the outside. And all of these issues, one last point I'll make on this is that according to the FIFA constitution, because I remember when I was manager, Jack Warner was the president of CONCACAF, our region.
Yes.
And he was the vice president of the entire organization, FIFA. And the government at the time in Trinidad was pretty hostile to Jack Warner, who also was a politician. So we have our two main political parties, and the political party in power was antagonistic against Jack Warner. So much so that we had to move out of the national stadium for about 6 months because we didn't play we didn't even use the national stadium for the first 6 months of 2008. It got so bad that it was brought to our attention. This is 2008. It was brought to our attention that if this continues, Trinidad and Tobago could run the risk of being banned from football because the FIFA constitution clearly states that there must be absolutely no political interference in the conducting of the sport of any nation. And just because we had a little issue with the usage of the stadium and a couple other things, regarding payments and so on, we, as a small nation, were on the risk of being banned for a period. But here you see clear and direct open interference and threats of the World Cup by a political figure, the President of the United States. And that, from my understanding, and I doubt they would have changed it within the last few months, but from my understanding, that is a violation of FIFA's constitution.
Let me take a quick break. I'll come back. Constitution. So that is out there, the president getting the FIFA World Cup for peace, if you will. And here we are for creating war, it would appear. But here we are now with visa restrictions, and the countries that seem to maybe greatly affected would be those countries from continental Africa, also from the Caribbean and Latin America. How do you think these immigration barriers reinforce some of these global inequalities that you just talked about in terms of where we see the football go over time, the World Cup, but when it comes to America under these conditions, there is silence?
Yes, and I mean, it's very difficult to envision what would actually happen when the time draws near, because even prior to some of the recent bans, citizens from Haiti have been banned from entering the United States, and they also tend to be quite spontaneous, quite haphazard and quite dramatic, that sometimes it's like today for tomorrow without any process or passage of legitimate legislation to establish these boundaries. So based on that, we have never seen anything like this before. I mean, the United States hosted the World Cup back in 1994, and it was quite successful. So we had Italy 1990, USA 1994, and then France 1998. And then for the first time in 2002, it was outside of Europe or the Americas, which was Korea, South Korea, Japan. All of them, I mean, the first USA World Cup, it went very well, uneventful, in spite of America always having immigration issues. Of course, at least those boundaries were clear up to the beginning and end of the World Cup. Now, it's a kind of volatile situation. And to me, what should happen is that the president of FIFA, Infantino, needs to make some kind of statement or attempt to give some kind of clarity or comfort at least, or some kind of concession to the fan base and the supporters, the citizens of these countries, as to what their position will be when the World Cup comes. He needs to be able to inform, because you have all of these FIFA committees. I mean, take, for example, again, me as a manager. Mm-hmm. If we had a game when we were in our last stage of qualification for the 2010 World Cup and also 2014 World Cup, if Trinidad and Tobago was playing a match, just one game, against either Costa Rica or Guatemala or El Salvador or Panama, I would go in advance and check out all the infrastructure, meet with the personnel, dialogue with the administrators, and ensure that there would be a smooth insertion of our delegation into their country and a safe and clear passage exit out, and that all logistics were in place. If that's the case for one game, FIFA have their teams to investigate every single possible impediment that could have a negative effect on any country that's participating.
And of course,
we have not seen that.
Well, that's a point. And from your own experience, and you've traveled to so many countries in your capacity as a senior, as a manager of the national senior men's football team, how do visa uncertainty and travel restrictions like we're seeing right now, how do stuff like this affect players, their mental readiness, whether or not them family can support them in terms of going with them and so on, and also their sense of dignity? We saw what happened at AFCON just the other day in terms of how Senegal was treated coming in, and they talked about their sense of dignity, and they're representing their nations. But this is bound to affect a whole lot of teams. This is what mental readiness I'm thinking about in particular.
2 points, but may I just say something very quickly about AFCON?
Yes.
Now, so we saw what happened in the final between the hosts, Morocco, and Senegal. Yes. And of course, Senegal, congratulations to them as the champions. I was backing Nigeria because of, that's a whole other story.
You're going to have to apologize tomorrow. Leave that alone.
But Nigeria did not qualify for the World Cup.
Yes.
But they qualified for the African Cup of Nations. And on the inverse, Ghana, who qualified for the World Cup, did not qualify for the African Cup of Nations. Yeah. But, so for that reason, I was backing Nigeria, but I'm very happy that Senegal won. Very, very happy. Brilliant. I mean, I just wanted them to beat Morocco for more reasons than one.
Of course, yes.
But I just want to say that what happened at the final must not be a reflection of African football, because people are using it again to throw these darts and brand and label African football. Those actions by those Moroccans and others should not be a reflection of African football in the same way that hooliganism in England, for example, the 2020 Euros, when they almost destroyed a lot of property at the stadium and so on, and the racism that followed with the missing of the 3 penalties by the black players. In the same way, that hasn't been used to brand and taint all of European football.
And what we're seeing in recent times with the Israeli supporters. Yeah, I get a point you're making.
Do you know that they just fired the head of police who took the decision to ban the Israeli supporters?
Yes, I know.
From Birmingham, Aston Villa. Yeah.
All right, so we're out of time. So let me just throw one more question at you. Should FIFA and other regional bodies, whether it is CONCACAF or any of the others, because this is World Cup, should they challenge the U.S. at this time? Because these immigration policies that are currently in place, they are bound to undermine the universality of the game. There is a problem here from my own perspective. I'm discussing football, for crying out loud, on my program this morning, because this goes beyond the game. This goes to the heart of the geopolitical upheaval we're talking about. Also, when you look at the countries that are impacted, these are black and brown countries, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. So FIFA, should try to intervene. I mean, we cannot really see that happening. But as far as policy is concerned, the way I see it, 6 months away might be a little bit too late to move the World Cup. Might be, not impossible. But again, as far as I understand, the process should have been that as soon as these announcements went out regarding the tricky immigration issues, a letter should have been sent to the United States Soccer Federation, putting them on notice that if these issues cannot be resolved, we will have to move the World Cup. It's not a matter of interfacing with President Trump. It's the United States Soccer Federation, the USSF, that have to answer for whether or not they are capable of hosting the tournament without any kind of discrimination, unfair advantage or disadvantage, and obstacles against any one participating member state as opposed to another. If USSF cannot guarantee that, then that is a case for the tournament being moved.
Well, there is a conference that is happening in the United States in February, and it is called the World Liberty Forum, to convene global leaders at Mar-a-Lago to shape the future of finance and technology. And one of the main invitees and participants is FIFA. I think this is how we're going to end it, David.
Yeah. But can I just make one last point at you? You mentioned it. Mentioned it. Now look.
Yes.
So we've seen the action against Venezuela, we've seen the action against Nigeria, we've seen the action against Palestine, and European governments have more or less sat back and either through their silence or vocal support have condoned all of America's actions. For the first time, and this is a great lesson for us, because for the first time, we are seeing Europe telling America, no, you're wrong. And what are they telling them they're wrong in? In going after Greenland, which is sovereign territory of Denmark. That is white unity. That is white power. In other words, Europe is telling America, you can take Africa, you can take Asia, you can take the Middle East, you can take other Latin American countries.
You can take Gaza.
Do not touch Europe.
Yeah. And it's...
They came together and said, no, we are standing with Denmark. That is the same kind of European unity that we should be emulating with Caribbean unity.
Or should the in 30 seconds, should anyone boycott the any country, any nation, any group of nation blocks boycott the take a stance and boycott the World Cup in the US?
Well, you know what? That would be very difficult for me to support. Difficult. I'm not saying possible.
Yeah, I do not support it either. But how do you take a stand?
Israel is one country. Israel is one country that if they were there, they should not be. Yes. But they banned Russia. Russia were banned from World Cup qualification, which is ridiculous. Again, it's a conflict between Ukraine and Russia. You know, America and Europe have supported one side, but FIFA is a world body. They cannot ban one side of a two-sided conflict. But Israel have been committing genocide. And you'd see the Board of Peace be established in Davos in Switzerland last week. Well, Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, who is a member of the Board of Peace, everyone had to pay $1 billion to join it. He could not even attend the signing because if he landed in Switzerland by law, the government of Switzerland would have had to arrest him for war crimes.
David,
because Switzerland is signatories to the International Criminal Court.
We're watching all of this unfold. I'm so sorry that we're totally out of time, but please come back again and let us have another conversation about this. I think we have to broaden it in the way that you're doing this morning and to connect everything because everything is connected. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you so much, my beloved sister. Best wishes to you. Best wishes to my people in Jamaica, Brother Clive Muhammad, and everyone else out there. I look forward to being there this summer.
All right.
Without a doubt.
We'll see you in the summer. All right. Thank you so much. Dr. David Muhammad, wearing his hat this morning as the former and longest serving manager of the Trinidad and Tobago national senior men's football team. By the way, I had a real nice conversation with the mother of Atto Bolden 2 nights ago, and she has promised to come on this program, and we're going to see if in a way we can get Atto Bolden to come on this program too. Fingers crossed. Hold it there. We'll talk about it. Willie Stewart. Willie, my brother, greetings. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the program this morning.
It was my honor, and thank you for having me here. And such a, losing such a musician, human being, a reggae icon of Jamaica, Cat, is really a sad moment. But at the same time, the legacy that is left, the silence is deafening, because when you realize you can't talk to him again, you can't say, well, play Cat. So automatically, within seconds, everything is memorabilia and a great memory, And it reminds me how much every day is a present, a present that God gave us to continue. And, if we really took that seriously, we would be more appreciative of people and make up for our differences and don't hold a grudge. It shows that we're nothing in the world. When your job is over, you leave.
You've known Cat. Let's talk about him a bit. You've known him almost all of his life. You've been friends for a very, very long time. Take us to the beginning.
Well, in the beginning, as I wrote before, we grew up as kids. Ligony. He was very young. I'm 3 years older than him, so he had to respect me,
Yes.
So when he was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I was 15. So he was coming on. He had his group called Alley Cats. I had my band. Well, I was in the band from Wilmers called Visions. And Ibu had his band called Rhythms of Mona. So we're like football team. Each one cheer, all our friends cheer for us from each area.
Yes.
So we'll play at this church at Ligony called St. Margaret's Church. And it was where everybody go and you had the stage and you play. And, being young, everybody want to be the best band. But we were all friends. Cat was more younger, though, because there's more being able went through playing with, and thing. And then Cat would come up as a young group then with Alley Cats. And then the transition was that Ibu came into my band for a very short stint, and that broke up. And then we got an invitation to go into Inner Circle.
Yes.
The Lewis brothers, it was how it goes that Inner Circle, we were in Lane Plaza, and Ingrid Chin, I think is the auntie for the great artist there that won the Voice. Tessa Sanchin.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it's her auntie, Yes, it's her auntie. And so we're in Park Plaza, and the Lewis brothers were there. Me and the guitarist at that time for my band was there, and Roger Lewis said, "Hey, you guys want to join in a circle?" I was said, "Sure," because when we went and saw how much instruments they have, I mean, believe me, it was like a dream. So how it came about is that Ibu became the original drummer and keyboard player. That's how I know Ibu. Yes. And we started to play there, cut a long story short, and we started to play all over the place. And then eventually we played this place called Tunnel, which was at Ligani. It was a club, but a very big club. And every night we played like 3 times a week as in a circle, but we played all the modern songs. That was our history of learning. And Cat would come observe the guitarist, who was very technical. He was very, very good, you know?
Yes.
He's very disciplined. And so when we look at him, when play, and he started to come and get a jam. We call it in them days a bounce. So he would come on stage. And so it was inevitable when he was going to leave, Richard, that Cat would take his place. And then from then on, he was like a little baby brother. And he was always promising. He was there. All he was interested in music. He's like him, loved that his whole life. And the development was from where he moved from there, and his ability to pick up things quick. And Santana was his idol. You know, because we all had to play. We all from that age, we had to be playing in a circle at that time. We had to be playing 15 new songs. We had to learn that week for the weekend of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We were the first group at that stage where the disco could play a song, right?
Yes.
And we would play the song, and it transitioned from us to and people would know the difference. So we had to be good at what we do, and then we transfer back to so there was non-stop. We were the first to ever do that. And the band was so talented. We had someone, it was like a joy. And then what happened, we started to play for festivals. We started to go to Bermuda and the stretch show. And at that junction, Mr. Lewis brought Stevie Wonder to Jamaica. A lot of people didn't know that, which is Rogers and Ian's father. And we played 9 shows at Carib Theatre. And when we opened, and when we got to sit down, we run down like kids and I watch our favorite artists play. Because I love the drummer, the bassman, the keyboard player. That was a big international thing, you know, big thing for us, you know. Yes.
So there was a seriousness and a discipline for all of you, actually. I know that because we see that and we hear that. We talk about Third World being ahead of its time. Biggie and myself had that discussion a few weeks ago. And you talk about, you've written about Cat, though, and let me just quote what you said, because this is what you said to Bert Samuels. He had a signature sound which was instantly recognizable, often characterized by a unique expressive tone and the ability to evoke genuine emotion in the listener. You see that last line there, Cat? It caught right there, so. This is exactly what it is.
Yes.
Talk to us about that side of him.
Well, that side of him, as we developed, he started to develop his own style. Because as a musician, you have someone you emulate, and then you start to find yourself. Cat had a unique style, and because of he's a musician that could play many stuff. People don't realize that in Coore meditation, he's blowing the most organ. He plays it. Once he take on something, within 9 months, he's going to get it. He played drums. Yes. He played bass on some of our albums. He wicked bass player. I mean, and when I came to play front, he played the drums behind it, and it was fun. But what his seriousness of guitar work is like, especially solos. Let me give you, when I'm playing the back and I'm playing on stage sometimes, we're jamming or we're playing around the world. When we're going to know that we're falling off, we're going in. It's like you have to go in, as a drummer, you have to go into turbo gear, because when he's getting that solo, you have to bring him from start, it goes up, and then you have to bring him to this crescendo. Sometimes he will play some different things. I marvel, it's like I become the honest laugh. I say, whoa, I'm playing, let me keep the beat. Because I said, whoa, Cat, you know? And so the beauty about Third World was that when anybody in the band, because we were brothers and unit, if we had a bad night, everybody was upset. And if we had a good night, and if a person was like, we could play double instruments, we encouraged. If the singer singing Bunny, everybody. It was a teamwork. Everybody push everybody around to get everybody the perfectness, that backing. And I've seen some tapes of everybody when they play. It's like there was some kind of invisibleness of everybody knew what to do at the same time because we know each other so much. If it was inspiration, boom, improvisation is the word. Cat could sit down and we go there and we make it up. Like Now That We Found Love, a lot of people don't realize Now That We Found Love was a jam between Ibu, Ibu, Carrot, and myself. We were really getting ready because when you're going to tune the studio up, and Ibu in my mind know what it was, and we played the beat, and the engineer it was unbelievable. He taped us, and we tried to play back, couldn't play it back. All of that arrangement was from improvisation, and this is where the difference is when you play and God give you that inspiration and you respect it. It comes. It's not really us. We are just messengers. So Cat was a great receiver of this information too. It's like how you pick up now internet and things like that. So we can pick up that and we just give God thanks because the messages, you see, many people, there's a difference between the artist and the message. We are just, all of us are just messengers. The greatness comes from the Creator who give us in a higher level in that he could adapt any style or any instrument. He could manipulate it and put his voice through it.
Wow. Let me take a break. I'll be right back. We're talking about Cat Coore. He's transcended, but he lives in the music. He lives in our hearts. He lives in the spaces, in the environment. I mean, this is just basically how it is. We take a quick break. For Third World, Willie Stewart, we're talking about Cat Coore. Cat Coore transcended last week, and a very close friend, of course, of Willie Stewart. Brother, where am I going with friend, Willie? I mean, you are brothers.
That's true. Definitely brothers, definitely.
Yeah. One of the things over the years, and I've had many interviews with Ibo about the founding of Third World and so on. You both sound so much alike in terms of talking about it, and one of the things that he always talked about was that period then when the marriages started and the children started. So you, in other words, you're a family. This wasn't just teenager. You developed and grew into being an extended family. Talk to me about those periods, Cat Coore, as a father.
As a father, Cat was very loving to his children. Well, he always loved youth. I mean, you talk about our days at Zinc Fence, when we had Zinc Fence, and Cat actually had Shia and Kana and his son Stephen and his other daughter. He was very loving with them. He would encourage them. He went down to Zinc Fence, and actually Gang Mali was the little you. I remember coming to France with us.
Yes, the Shepherds. Was it the Shepherds?
He came Shepherds. The Shepherds, yes. And they played, and they would play. And I think it was a Sunsplash. Cat went down early. It's like he was so excited by Cheyenne was going to play, and he was very, very supportive of that. Today, I remember when I was in France with Gang. Junior Gang. Yes. And it was 9. And the man was because Steve, they were interested. And I thought they saw the pattern of that. So he was the proudest dad when that came along. He couldn't stop. And I'm sure he would play a lot with them. And when they play, he would have jams Sheppy here and there. And it was family because all of us was a family unit. And forming the band, I'd like to clear this what is so important. Yes. In the band, when they formed it, you could say that we were the extension of Inner Circle because I was Inner Circle, Cat, Ibu, Bunny, and Carrot. And then Prilly came when we went to America. Prilly was that singer before Bunny. But Bunny was also in Inner Circle. Richie wasn't in Inner Circle, but he came from Tomorrow's Children and things like that. So what happened is that we were there, and that bond as youth, we always promised each other. Bonnie had to leave. I had to go in Byron Lee at the time, which I didn't really want to, but I ended up there. So what happened is that we talked about it, and we always said we'd have to come back together. Yes. So the willingness of the thing was really, the seed was planted then. When Cat decided and said, boy, he wants to become original songs he wanted to do. He says he was going to go now. Let's form now. Let's go and show I'm going. And Prilly said, he talked to Prilly and said, let's go together. And Ibu said, you can't leave me out of that. I'm in it too. And so 3 of them made that move. And how I came in it now, I was helping Happiness, and I was working with my brother thing, doing Miracle as a sales manager. Yes. And I was always in touch with them through Connie Leslie and everything. In fact, we helped with certain things. And it so happened that when Colonel came into the band, Colonel Marshall was to Marshall, and they went to England and was very successful. A lot of people don't realize this show that when they went to England, and I caught them at Epiphany, if you remember that club. I think it's in Kingston.
Yes.
And when they're there, and I saw them play, they were excellent. They used to play American songs and Isley Brothers. And when you hear Cat on that guitar, wow! It's like the band sounded even better than the record. And the harmonies. And he could sing, don't forget to sing.
Right.
He was a lead singer, but his harmonies are the high. He could take In Found Love. It's him playing that high. And love him go way up. Up I can't sing, but he was excellent.
Yes.
All of this. So the band was this joy. They used to wear these big high heel shoes, That was the day when you're doing the penguin. You remember that? And you would remember that. But when you do the penguin and you're moving around, and it was amazing. So when they went to England, they got a lot of press from there. But a lot of people don't realize that. You see, No Woman No Cry, a Bob Marley song.
Yes,
they opened that. They opened that show. They opened 4 shows for Bob Marley.
Oh,
and so people was asking, who are these guys? And then they got signed to Ireland, and then they did the album, the first album, the Green Album. That's when they did it. So when they came back to Jamaica, they played back Epiphany, and then they had a show on the Saturday. At university. Whatever happened, Colonel left the band. So it's near to Christmas. I'm in the plaza in Christmas, driving, and I see Richard. Richard, you don't hear. I say, hear what? He said, boy, you don't hear that, them looking at drummer, but they're auditioning drummers, and the one they might think of is the one you were training. I said, what? And he said, yeah, but the also said that the only man that come in this band without audition is Willie Stewart. I said, what? Where is the boo? And the boo used to live around Linstone, right? But it was the Prime Minister. I go down there and I said, what, the boo? The boo said, I was just thinking about you, what, man? I said, boy, everything good. I said, boy, I was thinking of me and Cat saying, boy, you could have come in without, even without no audition, without love. But we know you're working as a sales manager. We can't pay you. I said, did I ask you for any money? That's how it goes. And I said, yes, I'm available. He called Cat in me and boom. My show, boom. I have to learn 10 days, learn the thing. And my first gig, end of 1975 at Playboy, Oracabessa. And then within 6 weeks, we're gone to San Francisco, along with Prilly as our lead singer, because Prilly, that side, introduced Third World to America. 7 months, we had to live in San Francisco. And we went, that was a trip. And so that is where the beginning of that. And then we started to see other groups. We had to play every night, different places. We had to go LA and we traveled by car. We had to stay. I mean, we really had to rough it. But boy, the love that we had. That is why we found love hit. People thought that we were an American group. This is our American group because they didn't realize we came from Jamaica because they saw us live there. People say, oh, there must be, Oh, that's how that came about.
Yeah. We can't talk about Cat without talking about the cello. And I want to get there, but before we get to the cello, the Committed, the album was, I think a lot of it was done here. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. At Grove Recording.
Yeah,
was it Committed? Yes.
Committed album, yeah. Committed was there with Stephen Stewart and Barry.
Right. That was in early 90s.
Early 90s, it could be 1994 or 1990.
Yeah, early in the day, 3 or 4, right?
Yeah. And Jeffrey Chung was in that. So. Yes. Yeah, I remember coming sit down right there so where you were. It was wonderful. And coming in and seeing that was a trip because by the river, I remember when we were there getting ready and things like that. And just the atmosphere of IRA FM there was like it was inspired. Hold on, let me tell you how Committed, because I was the writer of Committed. With Stephen Stewart. So how it goes, I forgot to tell this because I'm running in the morning, right? Because every morning we would exercise because we live down the road. And I'm running in the morning. And on the jukeboxes, you can hear all of the things, music playing. And all I could hear is, I just want to be close to you, Maxi Priest song,
Yes.
And I'm saying that, I said that, you want to be close. You have a woman, you say you want to be close to her. But that's good. But what do you have to, what does she want to hear? And I said, boy, they want to hear Committed. And while I'm running, I'm saying, I'm committed, be in this love alive. I'm committed, being the things that I'm saying. I've got my life invested. And I run straight to the studio and I call Stephen and we start working on the song. I only had 2 verses and the chorus. And for hell, I couldn't get the 3rd verse. Anyway, because the Cat and Buddy loved it immediately. Immediately we went to the studio and started recording it. And then eventually we went to New York. Ibu came up with a final verse that was perfect. So actually, Committed came and I had to think about my wife, how I would write it. And at the end of the day, give thanks to Irie FM. Because if I wasn't running that road, maybe there would be no committed. So that's my connection with Irie. Congratulations.
Yes, and we met all of you. I mean, we were here young and meet you. Hold on a little. Hold on. My relationship with each one of you individually. I remember Bonnie Roggs being a fall and Bonnie dropped me home. I remember Cat tell me say use one umbrella. And I mean, this was to us, you know, it was phenomenal. You know, Willie. It was, but you didn't know that. You don't know, so we are shaking our shoes because
no. But we had if you don't remember, we had a dinner. And somehow I remember the dinner. There was a dinner where everybody was invited. We talked. Yes. I don't think we played there, but everybody we had the dinner.
All were there.
Really so close. Yes. Yeah. I remember that, and it was one of the lovely memories that we've had because we went there and we would exercise in the morning. You get up and it's like the mountains talk to you. Talk to the people. Yes. And that's what I say. Running and thing. The creation. That's how creation. That's another way we write songs. Yes. Sometimes we would write from a rhythm, concepts, but me running on the road is quickly and that never happened to me before. And you hear it and you're inspired from another song. So I say, but you know, close to me. But what are you going to do when you're close to me? I'm fine, you know. And you know, and there's not taken away from that song at all. It's an excellent song. I love it. Yeah. But it's just a continuation.
Of course, and the continuity is important because what we did later on when we developed other programs at IRI, we kind of, and you don't know this, none of you know this, we segued from that, you know, to, all right, so after Love, Commitment, and Committed was a theme song for every time we did that topic. The program was called Sex Wise. And every time we talked about love, commitment, we played this song. Committed. So it was like a theme song for us. So it worked for us in many different ways.
Well, great. So you see, and the connection because you felt that spirituality where it originated from. You know.
Let's just talk about Cat and the cello. But this is, you know, I think he played the first time I saw him play up front. I think it was at the concert here because there was also a concert here. You remember that concert, right?
Right. He did it. But really, the first time he really started it, the idea came out of we were playing in School of Music Hall, and he said, "Boy, let me try the cello." It actually started as big friends while we were rehearsing. Him came up with something. And I said, "Boy, that sounds good, you know. Bring back the cello in." Because I remember saying to him, and he said, "Wow!" And then we tried it out at School of Music when we were playing at a concert. I remember it was like a Saturday or something like that, and the response was wow. And I said, "Boy, that's a winner." And everybody said yes, and then we came to you and played it. So it was the woodshedding was there, and then he just developed it, and it became a stable what people look for, like his guitar solos. That was another stable people look for, and he played cello too.
That was spiritual on another level, though, Willie. That was. How do you describe that? Because I know you're very good with words. I mean, how do you describe this?
I'm not very good words, though,
yes, but you are.
I try to be sincere with like I do. Well, what happens when he played the cello? It created a style of. And what happened is that remember, he was classically trained, and Ibu. A lot of people don't realize that Ibu. From Ibu was about 16. Ibu had 8th grade in music. All he did is take an exam. He would have had a degree. So he was well, and having the two of them, and when they played, they understood on this level of classical. And you know the beauty about them? They loved, all right, you know, some people who get classical, they're, sure, I'm not going to lower myself to that. No, they loved it. Hiska, everything, Cat and Ibu loved if a little man in the country plays something, and Ibu had to teach himself how to hear and play by ear. He would tell you a story, because when he would go, he would listen and wonder, when he had all this classical train read notes, he would say a man used to listen and, how could that man play that? And the guy said to him, listen to the bass and listen to rhythm and just match the chords. And he started to master that. And Cat loved music so much that in other words, that within them, they were so humble that if a little man come on and play little guitar, and what humbled us to is the fact that when we played for all the festivals in a circle, to remember things, we have to go skitty-boom, remember that, ta-ta-ta. So we have to have, that helped us to hear normally and play back stuff immediately for the normal layman then. So you could take that transport and remember stuff. So this was all of that groundation helped us to be actually to hear things and appreciate, how to both play from a musical standpoint of musical theory, and also bringing it into everyday how you create on different levels.
How in terms of Cat's legacy, let me take a break, because I know with the cello and the guitar and all the instruments he played, and his contribution to Jamaica's music and global music, I wanted to ask you about that and his legacy, but let me take a break and come back.
Right.
Third World, Willie Stewart, brother to Cat Coore, and we're talking about Cat, who transcended last week. I'm not quite. Is that your phone? Is that your phone, Willie? Because that's not me.
Yeah, hold on. No, I'm not going.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me just take it down a wee bit while you do that. Okay, brilliant. We're hearing you loud and clear, Willie. So Willie, I want to talk a little bit about Cat's legacy, but before we go into the wider legacy, the cello, for example, who do we have? Do we have, who are you seeing who is another person who does this, and you're saying, yeah, we see the spirit of Cat here?
You mean another person in the world or Jamaica?
In Jamaica, yeah.
In Jamaica, I'm hoping that who else would be that person. I see there's a lot of young, I'm not in Jamaica, that's the thing, but I see a lot of young musicians that can carry through who, there's an orchestra that is there, because I saw where Ibu used them for Sizzler.
Right.
Where he did it.
I
see a lot of potential.
Yes.
I see a lot of potential, and I think that, if I'm not mistaken, in Immaculate High School, the gentleman called Steve Woodham or something, he's developing a lot of the Immaculate girls playing classical,
yes.
which is phenomenal. So I believe that the youth, that is where it was important. Legacy goes by, and this is when in 1997 Ibu and myself left Third World. It's sometimes when you have so much people in one group, it's like everybody have a different mission, and I believe that as one of the missions is that you become a dad, you become a teenager, you become a boyfriend, you become you get engaged, then you become married if you do, you become a father, and then you become a grandfather. But after that, there's a time when you have to give back to the youth. Besides your children, you give to your children, but then you have to give back. And nothing greater than with music. And this is where the legacy comes in, that if it was in Third World still, it'd be great, we will move forward. But the thousands of kids that Ibu has taught with the School of Music, the job that is done is exceptional upon nobody.
Yes,
I mean, how we turn around and the respect for the music. Over here, how we have touched kids' lives and dealt with it. I would never have reached so much children and influence and talk to them. And by that, to me, when you work with kids, so you keep young.
Yes,
true.
True.
And also, now I have to deal with kids from 6 go right up to university in my workshops I do. And you get to know how hard, because at my age, you're so divorced, you get vexed with them. But what I'm telling older people, stay with the children, don't give up. Because even if it fall on one ears, Alicia, because in my time, there was elders who protect you. They would tell you, listen to that, if you did something good, everybody will praise you. Cake, come down. If you did something bad, you get beaten from the top of the road, come down. Here, nowadays, in here, nobody, you're there alone. The children are, boom, you give them a computer from the age of 6, of earlier 3. So isolation, there's no communication. Man against the machines, So anyway, as you said, Cat, let's go back to Cat.
Yes.
Cat with family and his legacy. The legacy of his children, Cat Shire is an incredible bassman, following his father's footsteps. And Jumbo, the younger son, was playing with Chronics. So tomorrow morning, if they decide that legacy to move on, then in Ibu's family, Akiri plays drums. Yes. So all they have to do is brush up him drumming. So if they decide, but they have to decide, if they say, boy, do we step in now? We want to. But they have to want to do that. So who knows? There's talking over there. Who knows where or what's going to happen, the future of that legacy of Third World. We don't know.
Yes.
We have to just leave it to God that will move forward. But the greatness of with Cat now is that Cat loved what he did. And his interest within cricket, his interest in Jamaica, even the Order of Distinction. He's there every time. He's so proud. It's like him tying to Jamaica in a way that it is phenomenal. Yes. Because he's so proud. He would talk ska. He would talk to every artist. He couldn't believe how ska used to sound more than reggae. And I think what he wanted to do that is he would lend his guitar and his classical to anybody. Mm-hmm. He's there. He won. So eventually he started to play alone. As you know, he would play alone with accompaniment and play for important things that's happening. Mm-hmm. And that's how he loved it. He didn't have to have the big instruments and all that. He would play a simple little cello, but it wasn't simple. It was like by him playing it. And even the last show he came and played with me after he had that serious illness. Yes. And he came, the second show he played was mine with the kids in South Africa. And when he came up there and played, it's like he sat down and he said to the trumpet player, you play your solo, because we had a full orchestra up there. You play though. And he listened, and it was like he was taking in the music. It's like the music was feeding him so. And look at the violinist, you solo now, and he laughed. When he heard the children, he couldn't, and he said, shake him head. It's a wow. And that was the 50th anniversary. They never had a celebration there, and they got the, it was their day. And it was on most of the music, everybody, past and present of Third World was there, except for Ibu and Prilly, because he was going through, that year. Yes, God bless Ibu's soul and Prilly. God bless Prilly's soul too, So that was an occasion. And when I saw him play, and it was like deja vu. It's like I remember the days I was in Third World.
Was that the last?
Look at that.
Was that the last time you saw him? And when was the last time you spoke to him?
Yeah, the last time I played and I saw him was 2023. Well, we talked on the phone after that, but when we played was 2023. The concert was called "Love Will Always Be There" because Third World's 50th anniversary, and I decided that I was going to dedicate it to Third World. And people asking us, now that we found out what you're going to do with it, and we always say spread it all over the world. But in retrospect, when I look, I can see Third World now as a listener, and because I can see it now and understand what the layman hear, and I say, whoa. And I had to look and say, are we miming or we're playing live? And I said, boy, the band was really ahead of its game. And then so I wrote this song called Love Will Always Be There, right? Love will always be there. Yes. And what came to me is that once you found love is constant. You leave love. You get negative, but it's constant. So if you found it, it's forever. But you can jump out of it and come back to it. But you have to keep it constant. Yes. And that was my philosophy from then on. And my message was to tell love will always be there, and to the people that came to concert, love will always be there. Is you leave it. Yeah.
No, we get this is it's phenomenal to put things in context. How would you like to see Cat in the first instance memorialized in Jamaica and Third World generally, the original?
Well, I would like to. I'm going to come to this very sensitive thing, sensitive subject. Ibu and Cat formed Third World. They're the founders of the name Third World. But we mustn't forget that in the intricacies of Third World and the thing, all six men them in the Third World, all the ones who, the face of Third World and the sound of Third World lies with those six. Because from 96 started to come right up to our last album, which was Live It Up. Which, I mean, it didn't do a lot, but that was the last album. From 1997, that is the foundation. So what I would like to say is that the founders of Third World, Cat came up with the idea, and it was Ibu, it was the founders of Third World. And I think Prilly had something to do with it. Prilly had something to do with it too. But the foundation of Third World, which is a different thing now, is the six members.
Yes.
And I would like to see that also, with everything, with the wars that go through, with everything, it must come back to the root. It must come back to the foundation, because everything, the chemistry of the six man can never be replaced.
Right.
That sound today, there's great musicians in Third World. In fact, fantastic. But the point about it is that the originality of what they play now is all of the songs from there. And it is so important to make these distinctions, but also to honor, and as I said, to memorialize the work of Jamaica's great musicians, great artists living, and those who have transcended. And Third World falls in a category all by itself. We are still discussing in 2026 how Third World is still ahead of its time and how the music probably still hasn't caught up to Third World. And that's an interesting thing when you pass that. Is because why? Come on, this is the whole thing about it. Third World is a spiritual group. Third World had love. We came with a mission, and the mission was to go out there and use music to bring world peace. This was our mission. We didn't know at the time of being young. When we did Rhythms Africa, we were rebels. We come together and said, boy, we're a musical thing and we'll go through. And that came out with, you could hear the song. We defined the 96 cultural, because at the time, Michael Manley, Cat's father, we were very into buy your products, eat what you grow, be proud as Jamaican. So every time we left as ambassadors going there. It wasn't, boy, me, I'm going to play this and all that. We left and said, boy, we have to put Jamaica on the map. And places we played, them never even hear it. When we go to Germany, we got places, and we had to live through certain things. So, and that time, there wasn't a lot of international acts there. We were the first group that go at many places and put Jamaica on the map also. So it was our whole thing. So our whole perspective was to really excellence in music, practice, deportment on stage. Look here, experimentation, transmigration. People still talking as the best, but it was never taped.
Big A mentioned. It's funny, you know, Big A mentioned that 3 weeks ago in the space, you know. Yeah. And this is phenomenal. What are we beginning? This is crazy.
Yeah, because guess what? We made this make fashion. Louis Bennett, Arnold Louis Bennett said that your tech can make fashion. Well, that's what we did. Listen, we had an engineer from India, and we said, all right, we never have lights. We couldn't afford to buy lights. Remember, at them time, look at them things there. We take from Stanley Motor. We buy paint pan and then shine it up, join them together, cut it, and try to make light and put in 100 to 200 watt bulbs in it. We built a big column, iron column, and that is what we did. We used what we had, and this show, I'm not joking. We did Little Theatre first, and then went to Ronnie Williams. I'm not joking. We did about 35 shows at Ronnie Williams, and people came to 30 of the shows. So when we are saying it, you know, when we say God bless Hicklin,
Fred,
he was part of the whole Freddie Hicklin, and this guy he came down. I still remember them, you know. But anyway, he came and they helped her, and Colin Leslie was part of that, who instigated that we should do something different. And believe me, because when you look at Expand, I don't think you went to that show then.
No,
but
I
listen,
didn't.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
I can imagine that everybody saying third world and everybody looking on stage, right?
Yes.
And then all you hear, star, Gleaner, star, peanuts. It's just like on the street. A man nearly draw them gun. Because of the rats, we've been invaded.
I dumped it.
Wow, nobody rubs barefoot. It's freak out everybody. The entrance was phenomenal. People were in shock. And they would say, never have no tribal war. And we're going straight in. And the thing, and the acting was amazing, because we had to take this for 3-4 months.
Yes.
And all of that came from, you know, and the whole beautiness of it is that we all had a way of that automatically. If one did one thing on stage, you could feel the other person, you know, and when mistakes happen, it was just boom. It was just another man cover. Wow. And so what I'd like to see for Third World is this. First of all, I'd like to see that all the families, because every time we did the album, each child that was born in that year, we would put their name on the album. So my children's names became popular in the world because somebody was unusual, and the other kids same way, and our fans followed it. So what I'd like to see is that eventually that Third World can have a museum from the history to the present, showing that way that's there. And also, I would hope that it can get a foundation, and eventually that a school, a musical area showing, because we were musicians, to show that and have the best teachers there that teach from a point of view of love, that balances Jamaica music and respect Jamaican music equally. It's funny because of the classical training that they had. It's like they could talk to people who were so classical and say, no, Jamaican music is important, and they moved forward for that. That respect everything. If it's just a bang, respect it, because that is our sound. And so respecting what you have, and it's proven in the world, respect it as much as it being a doctor or to be a musician, you have to study for it, you know?
Yes. Willie, thank you so much. I'm not letting you go right now. I want to... You hear a little strain of something in the background here. Listen to this. I hear
something, but what is it? I'd like to hear that stuff.
Hang on. You listen to this, Willie. Listen. No, and something just hit me. The spirit of Igbo and Bunny Rock and the Cat. I mean, it's just, it is permeated. I mean, I I don't know why I didn't feel this the first time in terms of that spirit, but I'm getting it totally now in this space. Now, we're playing this for the first time on radio here, and this is, if Ibo was here, and Bonnie Ruggs and Cat, I'm quite sure that they would have had a serious role to play in looking at what third world could and can do in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. But you did that, Willie. Talk to us about this song.
Well, Kat said one thing. I remember when Mandela was coming to Jamaica, and Kat was in the square, and when he was free, Kat was there, and Kat said, boy, either one of us, any one of us that is there represents third world.
That's true.
And don't forget that. Yes. And so I had to, with South Africa, we had played CBS. In CBS, we had played in Atlanta, and I never saw so much. And CBS News had it. Yes. So when I went to Jamaica now, about a week later, and he was coming to Jamaica, we had meetings, and I said, they were thinking of putting him in half with 3 Square, and I said, you can't do that. I said, thousands of people, maybe they're going, you have to go to stadium. Yes. And that time, David Coore was Deputy Prime Minister, you had to meet with everybody. Right. So it ended up going to the stadium. And I had to sit down and work and put the whole show there. And it was phenomenal.
I was there.
I said that any one of us who come together, any one of us represent the whole. And so, with this song now, let me go back how this came about.
Yes.
This, I must say thank you to all the artists. There's 10 artists, and you can tell them eventually what was it. And when the song came, I was in Jamaica for Gilbert when it happened 37 years ago. And I remember when I went out over the spring when I used to live up there. And I remember when I saw it come, it was quiet, and I nearly got caught in the middle of the eye. And so 5 days before the storm, I'm calling everybody, listen, take it serious. This is serious. Take it serious. I couldn't sleep. Me and my wife were there calling. I made about 200 calls. You all right? Take it serious. You know, Jamaica don't take things serious. I said, this is going to be the thing. When it happened, after, I wouldn't lie to you, 2 days I was knocked out. It's like I was there. I was mashed up. It's like Mr. Boy, and it's like tears. I'm not afraid to say it. Tears down my eyes, man.
Yes.
And I said, what can I do? God, what can I do as a musician? I don't have the big money to bring down a plane. But what is my... And some tell me, shut up. Your role is music. Come, find something. And a friend of mine in the music business said, boy, let us write a song. Yes. So I had this song. And I said, listen to it. I had it in a different format. And I said, listen to this song before we go through. Because sometimes when you go to write a song at the time, you get nervous and you don't have, but sometimes as a musician, if you have things to, there's a song for every occasion. Look at Bob, any occasion you get. So he listens. So this is the song. So what happened is that I said, okay. I call Robbie Lynn, who I rate as one of the greatest interpreters of music. Yes. When he can from years from his small, he can take music of the greatest song that have all the elements and put it back in reggae. So he listened to it and he put some of it, he sent it back to me because I wanted the song to be organic. I'm saying, if you're going to give people something, give them the best. If you're a cook, give them the best food. There's electronics, is at the place, but not in this case. To get people and to feel the heart, it has to be every singer committed, every singer bringing in their vibration, because every one of those singers represent 5 million people. Yes. So I said, okay, how can I just say, if Dennis Brown was here, if Bonnie and them, how would work it? You go for strings. Strings touch your heart. Yes. So I went to UM and got the string orchestra for them to put on it. A choir speaks volumes to people where it comes in. Every person bring a spirituality because they come. It's like they're asking God have mercy. And so it took me 3 days after the storm. I've been working it and still working it. It's coming out February the 6th. And all the artists I sang, all the artists which you can read up there, who is there, all of them. Leroy Sibbles.
Tell me the artists. Do you have the list? Davis. Yes, go ahead. Give me the list. Tell me the artists, because
you have it there. I have to remember my head.
Yeah,
so it is Leroy Sibbles.
Yes.
J.C. Lodge, Carleen Davis. You have to remember. Jem Myers, Wisdom. Hold on, let me go again.
Was that Glenn Washington already? All right,
Glenn Washington is on it. The great Glenn Washington is on it. A guy called Carl McDonald, a Wayne Harmon. A singer called, when you hear that singer going in between, he's one of my singers on original, but he's incredible. In fact, his story is what that is. He was in the emergency room when he came to my studio, and he came out to get it. And he was in pain in between. And the engineer said, which is Sean Weatherburn, said that the pain God give him is some complete feel of pain because the way he sing it is like, and then there's also Alicia sings with Wailers. So all of these people give up the time. Now, I as a writer, nothing is coming because it's God give me that song to give Jamaica. Every penny. The record company is going to spend money to promote it. So when it go there, every penny is going to GEM, Global Empowerment, to help Jamaica. And that's what we're going to present it on our show, Rhythms Africa, and in April 18th and 19th. So what I'm saying is that
all right.
So we
have Leon Sibley's, J.C. Lodge, Glenn Washington, Carlene Davis, Wayne Armand, The Wisdom, Jem Myers, Patrick Ulysses, Pinkney, Pinkney?
Yes.
Yes. Pinkney, Alicia Marie, and Carl MacDonald.
MacDonald, the singer. All the others are Jamaican except for one American. The gospel is mixed with American, and then we have background singers. One is Spanish, one is and one is from Haiti, and the other one is Jamaican. Alicia, double up. She sing with the Wailers. Let me tell you something. I've got 2 months to do it. Remember, JC's in England. She gave up. Everybody came together. Some sing this line and all that. But the coming together, I must give credit to the person who mixed it because they had to sit down. Weatherburn did a fantastic, Sean Weatherburn. And to me, it's God. The sound is God.
It's beautiful.
I'm asking that Jamaica. I'm asking all the DJs. Please play it. Give it back so it's comfort to the people.
Yes.
The suffering.
Well, Bigay just walked in, so I'm going to hand it to Bigay, and then we'll ensure that everybody gets it. And it's going to be released on February 6th.
Bob Marley's birthday. Yes. Yeah. And the video will be out by end of February. Because what happened is that this song is going to say, when you start off, you can be a difference in someone's life. In other words, how you can have faith. Faith carried us today, and to get that billions of dollars to pay back, is going to carry us there. It's only faith. And I want to do a song that can be a billboard. That's when someone hears it. Oh, right, I remember Jamaica. And those who are suffering will say that there's hope. There's hope. Hang on. Keep it there. Don't lose faith. There's just a spark. You can make a child who is going through changes smile. The people who brought it happened. That actually happened. People came from everywhere to give. And you can imagine you give some of them hungry and you give them food. You bring sunshine to them. And it's up to me. It's up to me and you. And that's what the song is saying. It's up to me and you to make that change. Nobody outside. You have to do it within. And listen, trust in love divine. Trust in God. Jah, whatever you call it. Trust in that because it will come true. And so I use love because it's a universal language. And I wrote a song. Well, not me, but God gave me a song that is for the world. Because all of us are going through. So this song can be a change for everybody who's going. World problems, we're in trouble. Now the place is freezing. Everything is happening. The world has changed. So we have to be in prayer mode. We have to know who we are. We have to realize that we have to spread love.
Yes. You know, we're totally out of time, but it's a beautiful song, and I'm sure that Jamaica will embrace this. This is, once again, just to underscore, all of the proceeds from this going to Hurricane Melissa relief. This was written by
100. Yes. I am not even touching the money.
Yes.
All my lawyers have it done that everything, and everybody sign off for it. It's a people's song. And I just give thanks. And I said, Jamaica, I love Jamaica. And I know we're going to pull through that. I love it. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Cat, we know Cat sit down. We know all four of them are behind me because that's another story. When you bring me on, I'll tell you how all of this happened because Izzy Boo I was thinking of and something happened. But that's a story you have to bring up.
Listen, you have to come back, and I know you're going to come back.
I am part of, I am committed. I am part of that thing. I am part of the pillar.
Yes, now that we found out what are we going to do with it. So look here now. So Bert Samuels is Bert is listening, so big up Bert. Thank you, Bert.
Big Bert, listen, yes. So Bert and me went to school together, you know.
Yes,
and he continued school with my wife there. He was there. They're both our best friends. And when I came from England, I went to school with Bert, and Bert was out, heard me playing drums on the desk. And Bert, guess what? Bert is behind this because I know he's going to talk to me this week.
Yeah, man. Thank you,
so
Bert.
we can really move
Bert,
it forward.
make sure so we find you. Bert, listen. Bert, yes.
Find him because I want his attention because, as I tell him, he's supposed to write a comment on this song because he's an architect with words.
He write it already, man. I bet you anything.
His family is incredible. Thank you so much. Listen,
thank you, Willie. Before you go big up, go on big up. And because...
Who's that?
Willie Stewart.
Oh, Sir Willie.
Look here, sir.
Big A, Willie,
yes.
Look here. He knows because you were talking to me about the explanation, right? You went
transmigration.
Yes.
And explanation.
Explanation. Right. Yeah, he was there. Big A was there, Willie.
Well, so he knows that. Why didn't you listen, man? If you'd be rich today, if you could have done video. We didn't have a track because we could remake it. I didn't remember half of it.
It's about like a schoolboy and couldn't video it.
but we know you had the thing. But believe me, that was one of the greatest things because even our manager that came to the show, there was a new manager that was going to sign us, Ulysses.
Yes.
And when he came and saw what we could do with that, he signed us immediately. And then we did know that we fell in love. We went to Nassau and things. So two things. When we did Now That We Found Love, we went on a retreat and that helped us and committed helped us to move forward, you know.
Right.
So we appreciate, we love Irie FM and
love
thank you so much.
Yes.
You know, God bless you all and God bless Jamaica. We love you and we Cat, any one of us.
Yes.
This I say give thanks because Third World would have done this if it was a day, all of them a song with this would have been done. So on behalf of Third World, on behalf of all my brothers, Richie is here still, and all the new brothers, this is the song. As Third World, I dedicate this song to Jamaica and the world. So as I may, and maybe our children will continue. If I go tomorrow morning, I go with peace because I realize that God gave us this song, gave me, as all my brothers, all of them shining in Zion.
Thank you so much, Willie. And we'll talk soon.
To respond, I was bombarded with persons from all across the world, literally, who were connecting me firstly to find out if it was true and what my thoughts were on the maestro.
Interesting that we have so much discussions about Third World. About just the other day, we gave him an assignment the other day, and which one of his friends told me that he took up, which was to reset the music that he heard and considered that seriously. That was quite something. Remember we were saying, you asked me when we said we need to reset the music because of the frequency, and you asked who do I think? I said Cat Coore, remember? And you agreed that if anybody could do it, Cat could do it. And so we understand that he heard that and considered that seriously.
Yeah, man. It is a painful loss to the industry, and we just want to send condolences to his family and extended family.
Once again,
I remember some very pivotal moments, significant moments in growing up listening to Third World, and I just last week when I was speaking about Cat, I reminded myself that it is now 5 members of the band that have now transcended. Right. Pretty much all of the
original. So it's just Richie and Willie are the only two.
And Willie, right. I think Willie came on as a second drummer. I think he wasn't the original drummer. I think there might have been one drummer that preceded him.
From what he said this morning, so you're probably conflating with Inner Circle.
No.
Because he went for Igbo. He went for Igbo. And Igbo and him went for Cat.
Yeah, I think I might have had my history a little wrong. Right, but I think there was another drummer. But anyway,
it's not wrong. It's because of Inner Circle.
Right. It was right there though. It was right there. I remember being pro-black, pro-Rastafarian at the time when 1865 came out. And it was an anthem for my tribe. It was, my
your maroon heritage,
my clique of associates at that time, my clique of friends.
The Morant Bay War,
man, it was,
which would be anti-maroon, by the way. Right. So I'm gonna take that back.
Right. So it was. I remember the effect that it had, and during the whole process, of growing up, Third World was like the soundtrack to my life. I remember going to Negril if Willie is still listening, if you remember, there's a song called Dancing in the Rain, which tells the story of an experience in Negril when Third World was playing. Because I used to play Negril quite often.
He mentioned that this morning, yes.
Right. And the rains came down in torrents on that Saturday afternoon. And nobody no move. Everybody in the rain had danced like them just going crazy. And they wrote a song about it. And I was part of that too. Yeah, man, I was part. I used to follow Third World all over the place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A soundtrack of my life too, from high school. Good morning to Don Eaton. Donnie, who introduced me to Third World.
Two persons that, whose I grew up.
Yes,
and they influenced my life and my musical taste in such a direct way that is not funny.
Third World was the only reggae band music that I could listen to in my house, being growing up in a Pentecostal home. Because when you play it, you could easily tell them, say, no, it's not reggae, it's not rag, it's not rag music.
Right.
It's not rag music, listen.
Right. Yeah. Raga music.
Yes,
not the Rasta man. Yeah, I had my fair share of that.
Oh,
probably more than my fair share.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
And Willie's reminding me, because we remember the stage show. We remember that they had here. We both of us, we've recalled also that they recorded the album Committed here, right, which I just stand up now. But he's reminding me about the dinner that they had for us.
Yes, I didn't make that dinner, but I know of the dinner.
I was there.
Right, I am sure you were.
Yes.
I am sure you were.
I was so there.
Right. I remember the pep talk upstairs though, without apology.
Yes.
They gathered us and
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, Cat said, we're adapting the station because
yes,
right. If you remember, just prior to IRFM, Third World had recorded reggae radio station rocking through the nation.
Yes.
Right, almost prophetic, right, almost prophetic to the IRFM experience, and I think maybe because of that relationship at the core, man, they felt very attached to us
at the Cat Coore,
at the Cat Coore, right,
But do
they felt connected to us and we felt connected to them, almost as if it was an anthem for us, even though it preceded us by maybe a year or so.
Exactly. Do you remember that Ibo looked out through the window upstairs? I don't know if you did it at the time, but I think you were. He looked out through the window and him said, reggae radio to reggae. It was Ibo first.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he also did the weather check.
Well, yes.
That's Ibo,
yes. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I know.
So, boy, IRFM and Third World are one. We just said that and done. So, Cat is ours. Like, Cat belongs to all of Jamaica, but we take it personal on many different levels.
Right.
He was a friend to the station, a brother to the nation, a brother to all the way, and was really such a talented person. I remember that first time that I saw him play the cello, it was over there. And Willie was saying this morning that it was one of the first, because they had practiced it before and probably had a first playing somewhere else, but in terms of a big stage. But you never come, right? Because you were inside there working.
I remember the rain. That night I worked either 13 or 14 hours straight.
Right.
It
because rained,
Bob Clark, who should have relieved me, got drafted.
Bob, every time BK tell the story, you say you never believe him.
No, and understandably, because he was here.
Not only that, he was head cook and bottle was and producing.
And that's why. I know.
Getting the thing together.
I know. He was over there putting it together. Yeah. So I got stranded.
Yeah.
And it was,
those were the days, I'm telling you.
No, I tell you.
Yeah. I have to big up Kathy Owen, because we never left for shorts, no way.
No time at all.
The shorts are the shorts, the better the show. Do you know that IRFM developed a code of dressing, what do they call it? Dress code, because of me and Kathy, though.
Really? I didn't know this.
Yes, it was we. It was we. Ask Clyde Mackenzie. Because I remember when he called when I'm office and said, well, I cannot dress, so come on work. Anyway, that's an aside. But we really enjoy that show, really enjoy Third World. Cat Coore, you're going to be missed. But in spirit, man, I mean, the spirit is just as alive. I mean, the music is still here. The music is timeless. And you were talking 3 weeks ago about the extent to which they were before them time. And Willie said the same thing this morning. Said, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There certainly were. When you listen to Third World today, it sounds like they recorded yesterday.
That's true.
They're just as fresh as they were. Well, fresher than they were in the 70s and the 80s, because
stand the test
a lot
of
of persons didn't even understand
Mm-hmm.
this direction and this sound. You know, I know they spent a lot of time at Compass Point in the Bahamas. That's where
he mentioned that. Yeah.
That's where they recorded a lot of the material.
He did say
because the studios in Jamaica at that time couldn't handle the kind of sophistication that that Third World had brought.
And he talked about
they wanted.
Ibo being classically trained and Cat being classically trained.
Yes.
That's quite something. Big A, I know I've gone 13 minutes into your time. Thank you so much for it. But can I come out with this? This is 2 minutes. This is a song that Willie wrote for hurricane relief for Jamaica.
I actually had another.
Oh, you had another. Well, you can play this later in the program.
Yeah,
It's gospel. It's faith.
All right, fine.
Have faith. So I'll leave it queued up.
So I'll tell you the song.
So tell me which one we have.
It actually is one of the rare recordings of Cat Coore going solo.
I want that.
Instrumental.
I did not have that this morning. So give me that.
This is
yeah, let's go. What am I do? Let me go first. Oh, oops. All right. Yes. So this is. Oh, thank you so much to all who participated in the program this morning. Thank you to Dr. David Mohammed, to King of Ghana, His Majesty, the King of Ghana, who is here. Thanks to Natisia Bahad Singh, who was in the studio, who are we leaving out. Thanks so much to Willie Stewart, who was just online. Thank you so much to everyone who were part of it. And thank you for listening. Thanks to Rachel Okello, to His Excellency King Kwesi Daka, Ghana's Presidential Special Envoy to this region. Natisia, of course, Dr. David Mohammed, and to Willie Stewart. And this is how we're saying goodbye as we make way for the Big A inside of a Sunday sunshine. Somebody says Cornell, is it Cornell? Is it Cornell Marshall, original drummer? Stephen Cat Coore comes after. This is Glenn Brown saying that. Okay. That's what you were saying, Big A?
I told you.
You did tell me, Big A. You told me. All right, so what do I do now? Play this? Okay, so what you say about... Oh, okay, so this is Cat solo.